Welcome back to LRC. We're here today for round number 11 of Season 7, and we're here, as you can clearly see, in the pouring rain of Mexico City. So, this is certainly going to be interesting. We've got 18 drivers here today, and unfortunately, only one commentator. Myself, Coolest, will be the only one here to walk you through today's action. Everybody is busy as usual, but at least we did manage to get one person here for this week as opposed to last week, so we will still have the full coverage of the action from the spectator's view. And last week we for the first time in a very long time, we actually had a different winner. Of course we did. In the week where we didn't actually have a streamer, we had a brilliant fight for the win, as far as I could tell, between Elias and Tamer, with Tamer eventually coming out on top by virtue of a pit lane speeding penalty for EM7 Elias, who is, of course, our Season 7 champion, 5-time champion now, and despite not being able to win the race, both he and perhaps did, I think, score points, or perhaps might have been just outside. I'm not too sure exactly, but in any case, Ferrari did indeed manage to shore up the Constructors' Championship last time around as well. So that means both titles are sealed. Ferrari take the Constructors, Elias takes the Drivers, and that means for these final 3 races of the season, we go in with no stakes whatsoever. Everyone is here just to have a good scrap on the track and sort out all of the battles for the remaining places. Obviously, the battle for second has been a lot more intense over the duration of the season and is still raging on, so that is yet to be decided here today. And we do have obviously been following Nardo so far, but we have the second of the McLarens. Nardo is back for this week. Obviously we know he is a very, very fast driver, but it's just been a case of trying to put together a race with no mistakes for him that has been really what's caught him out so far this season. Obviously yet to really take a representative result because of said mistakes, so if he is able to do that today, and if he can get a clean qualifying especially, then we will expect him to be challenging with Elias right around the front of the field. Also, I believe we do indeed have Bimpo in the Haas car, one of 2 Haases today, but he is the only full-time Haas driver here. As things stand, Tim Bleish will be reserving in the second, but Bimpo is back again today, and I believe this is actually his first race as a full-time driver in Season 7, as Loris, who is also reserving for Sauber, sets the benchmark time of a 1:25.2, but Bimpo, and I suppose Loris as well, to be fair, are 2 drivers who we would very much expect to also be towards the front of the field, and maybe not quite towards Nardo and Elias's pace, but keeping them honest if they do get into any scraps later on. And Bimpo proving me exactly right there with a 23.9. That is a very solid lap by him. And of course, with me being the only commentator here today, you will have to, unfortunately, get used to me taking a couple of breaks every so often, just to make sure I do not wear myself or my voice out too soon. Because, like I say, I am expecting a very entertaining race, all things considered, because we're expecting these conditions to continue all the way throughout both qualifying and the race. So, even though almost everybody has gone out very early on in the session, we are not expecting it to dry up like it did in Monza. Or, actually, I suppose it was the opposite in Monza, but it's not going to intensify, it's not going to dry up, it's just going to be intermediate conditions for all of the sessions is what we are presently expecting. So, we'll see how everybody fares. Obviously, mistakes will be quite easy to come by in these conditions and around a track like Mexico. It's obviously a very, very low grip circuit, not least because of the altitude, making the aero a bit less effective, but also just the surface of the track. It's slightly grippier than it was on last year's game, but it is still... I mean, I was taking some test laps on it yesterday, and let me tell you, it was not a particularly enjoyable experience. So, in these wet conditions, I can only imagine the stress and mental fraught that these guys are going to have to be working through, and the concentration levels to make this work over I believe a 35 or 36 lap race is going to be pretty intense. So yeah, I would not be surprised at all to see some mistakes and potentially even another safety car here today, but obviously we know how it's been this season. There are no guarantees of that, as we're currently following on board with Nardo here. He was getting a little bit of overstake coming out of, I think that's turn 12. I'll have to pull up a track map in a second to make sure I don't get any of the corner names and numbers incorrect, but yeah, out of the final corner, the Peraltana in any case, and he is going to go straight to the top of the times, but only a 10th ahead of Bimpo so far, so either that's just been a very good lap by Bimpo, or I would expect, perhaps a little bit more likely, is Nardo has a bit more time to find just yet, and we'll probably be able to verify that, based on what this man here, Elias, does on his first lap in the session, making his way down towards the first corner here, and trying to get the nose tipped in there, has a second bite of it, and then is able to get it coaxed beautifully through the first 3 corners, and gets very nice traction down, using plenty of overtake on the exit of the corner. Obviously, in the wet conditions, battery management is going to be a lot easier, and he is, no surprise, the fastest driver through the first sector so far. We ride on board now. Luckily, because of these wet conditions, he's not going to be able to do his usual antics of just making the most horrific-looking sends into each of the corners and just completely drifting the car around them, although it does seem like he is going to try a little bit. The back end is stepping out just a touch here. We know he likes very front-end heavy setups, and he's actually going to run just wide and off the track. You can see, bottom right-hand corner of your screen, he has invalidated his first lap, so a little bit of a mistake there from Elias. Obviously, he's no longer got anything to lose in this championship, but still, not the ideal start for the Bahraini driver. Meanwhile, currently in P5, we have another driver returning here today, Blundy, who's back, and also Binmeister. I'll come back to Blundy in a second. Binmeister jumps to the top of the times, a 23.6, so showing that even though the conditions aren't getting any easier, he is still being able to find some time with, presumably, some track evolution here. So, yeah, very nice lap by him. And, yeah, that's very impressive. We know Shadow is very quick over 1 lap, and it's generally been a little bit similar to Nardo, the races that have caught him out more this season, but still, very good stuff by him. Anyway, as I was trying to say, back to Blundy. He's, yeah, returned today. He's a driver who has been sort of intermittently quick at times this season. We know he has got some good outright pace. He's 5 seconds off on his current lap, so he's not on course to improve at the moment, but he is still sat in P6, doing a fairly solid job. And Elias has retired from the session. But, I mean, his car's already in the pit lane. I don't know how that's... Has he crashed into the pit lane? I don't think so. I mean, he made a mistake in qualifying in Monza, so it's not entirely out of the realms of possibility that it was some kind of mistake, but I didn't see any kind of yellow flags, so... Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a qualifying ban, as far as I know, at least, as Nardo. There we go. So, yeah, he was very much a little bit off-colour on his first lap in the session, so now right back on form. He's going to be quickest now with the 22.9, but Elias retires from the session without having set a time. That is our favourite for pole position, and obviously our favourite for the race win. Going to be starting at the back of the grid. That's incredibly surprising. I have no clue what's gone on there. I might have to see between sessions if I can get in contact with Elias and see if we can figure out exactly what happened, or why he's now out of the session, if he just fancied a challenge or what. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him, since he has already got everything locked up, but in any case, that's going to make this race a hell of a lot more interesting than it was already looking like it was going to be. So, yeah, very strange things going on here in Mexico already. Unfortunately for Timbley, she is currently not in the most strange position down at the back of the field, but we'll see what he can do. Obviously, we're in a bit of a sort of downtime period. This is usually when you'd have most cars back in the pits halfway through the session, but we still have quite a lot of people on track, obviously. In the wet, you can just go for multiple laps in a row. Some people might even fuel up for the entire session and just churn out laps one by one, so we'll see what people do decide to do. Unitas is also another driver who will be looking to improve at the moment, down in P16. That will not be anywhere close to his best time in the session, I would have to imagine. But yeah, some strange things going on so far. Alright, I've taken the opportunity to see if I can figure out why exactly Elias has retired from the session, so I'll await a response and keep you updated on that, but Yeah, in the meantime, we can take a look at the Aston Martin, not Haas, the Aston Martin of Blazer, who is now getting chance to finally, well, hopefully he'll be finally getting a chance to take his first start for Aston. It should have come last week in Singapore, but obviously, well, I mean, I suppose you might not have seen it since we didn't have a proper stream, but yeah, if you did miss it, last week in Singapore, Blazer was unfortunately disconnected moments before the session started, and when he tried to rejoin, his AI retired from the race, because we do love some good Codemasters and EA bugs. So yeah, unfortunately he was not able to take part, almost actually took me out of the race, which was not ideal, but thankfully everyone avoided him for all of about 6 seconds until we had a massive accident coming through turn 5, or turn 6 I believe it is, the kink on the second straight, so hopefully we can avoid a repeat of that here today. We have had, I think we've had quite a few first lap pile-ups in the last few races now, so hopefully we are able to keep things a little bit cleaner here today, but obviously with the wet conditions it would not be all that much of a surprise if that is not able to be the case, so we'll see how things go, but yeah, as for Blazer, I think he will definitely be expecting a little bit more than P11 in the session, and Bimpo is going to cross the line now to raise the bar even higher, a 22.4. So yeah, he's looking competitive again. Nade also got himself up to third, so there is plenty of time to find in this track as things stand, as far as I can tell. So we'll see who is indeed able to find that time. Loris is about to start his next flying lap, so we'll see who's going to be next across the line to finish a lap. I think Phil is going to... Excuse me. I think Phil is also going to be starting his lap, so I think it's going to be the Mercedes of Binmeister potentially. No, it's going to be the Mercedes of Zuxen, who is going to be the next over the line. No, it was Blundy. I didn't even see Blundy on the map. Blundy's going to jump up to second, so there you go. It's a little bit more like the pace we were expecting from him, and showing again, there is a lot of pace here on the track right now, so Zuxen, he's going to jump himself up 2 places into P12, then behind him, the Haas of Bimpo, sorry, not of Bimpo, the Haas of... Who was that? That was Tim Bleich, is going to jump up to P9, so very impressive lap by him. I couldn't find him for all the world on the order for a second, but yeah, Tim jumping up to P9, that is some impressive stuff by the Swiss driver as he continues to slowly but surely acclimatise to the game. So we'll see if Leland's able to do the same now. He's just about to start his next lap. Shadow will now be the next one across the line. Let's see what he can do. We know he's got good pace already, and he is going to go straight back to the top of the times. This time it is only just ahead of Bimpo though, by around about, what is that, about 3.5 thousandths of a second, so yeah, very close for him. And Phil, I think, was that Phil or Blazer? One of the Astons across the line. I think Blazer had finished a lap, but wasn't able to improve or something like that, so yeah, he's going to have to go again here. I don't think he had too much practice, so that might explain why he's a little bit off colour in comparison to his usual qualifying pace, but yeah, 3.5, well, so pretty much 4 minutes left to go in the session, and it is anyone's game here in Mexico. So I think next one over the line is going to be, I don't know, it is Tim again, so he's going to be back into the pits, I would assume. Indeed he is. Mr. Zuxen, is he going to go for a second lap in a row? He is, but he's about 9 seconds off, so I'm going to assume he's actually just starting his second lap now. Might have gone for a cooldown, and now he's going to push again, so we'll see how the German driver does get on. Then we do have Leland is going to be making his way through the final sector. He's almost a second up on his time, so plenty of time to find for him. Round the Peraltana he goes, and he's going to lose it into the wall and invalidates his lap just because of that. I don't even know how that's... This seems incredibly cruel for the Italian, but he's not going to be able to improve, and I think... Did he? No, he did not get damaged, so a lucky escape for him. He will have a chance to go again if he's got enough fuel, but yeah, not ideal for Letland, as I think Phil and Blazer have both now set some more competitive times. Blazer gets himself up to 6th and is now, well, going to do the trademark Blazer, cutting past the first chicane and trying to make sure he's got enough fuel and enough time to go again in the session, so we'll see what he's able to do. Next one over the line, I think, is going to be Loris here. Or no, he's just starting a lap, so it's going to be Trimashev, who is also just starting a lap. Then there's going to be the second Aston of Phil. Across the line, he's going to go 12 seconds off the pace, so he's just starting a lap as well. And yeah, 2 and a bit minutes left to go in the session. Everyone's starting to get their final times in. Can see, I believe, someone we haven't actually looked at so far, perhaps, is also on a lap. He's down in 13th, and he's going to invalidate there, going through turns 4 and 5. That is not good at all for him. Like I say, only 2 minutes left to go. He's got enough time to go again, but he's going to have to, well, hope he's got enough fuel, and then save battery frantically for the remainder of the lap here. So, yeah, a lot of drivers making mistakes, which is exactly what we were expecting. See if you can get out of the way of, I think, is it Nardo? No, it's Nardo in the other McLaren. Hold on, there we go, I can find him this time, and he is of course a driver we were expecting to be, well, I'd be surprised to see him anywhere but the front row of the grid, to be honest, and he is almost a second up on his time as well, which would absolutely put him on provisional pole, which Binmeister is now going to improve upon to try and secure that position for himself in the Mercedes. He's going to extend his lead a little bit, but Nardo is very much coming for it now. Through the Peraltana, he's going to go slide in the back end and up to the line. The McLaren driver blows Shadow right out of the water. 6/10 advantage for the Italian, and he is straight onto the front row of the grid. Beat that if you can. I would be very surprised to see anyone get particularly close, but obviously the track is all the while still improving because there's so many cars out on it. So, final laps of qualifying now then. Less than a minute left on the clock, and I think some of these guys might actually struggle to get to the line in time. You can just see, taking a look at the track map, I think it's might be Kiesiel, is, yeah, he's having to navigate some traffic. He's invalidated, but that's just his outlap anyway, so he's just about going to make it to the line. The Haas is going to follow him around, and then if anyone behind those guys hasn't started a lap already, which I think would include Leland. He's, yeah, he's about to finish his lap, so this time he is once again 7/10 up on his time. See if he can keep it clean out of the final corner. Indeed, he can this time around, and that will see Leland jump up to P12. What about Loris? He's only coming through the middle sector now. He's 5/10 up on his time, but still a little bit off where he'd expect to be, so we'll see what he can do in the final sector of the lap, as a few more people will be making their way around. I think Narde will be... Sorry, no, Narde's already crossed the line, so it's Nardo who's going to be next one round again. He's coming back into the pits, so he doesn't need to improve any further. What about Unitas? He's going to be the next one over the line. He can jump up to P7, followed by perhaps can jump up to P11. That's not ideal for the Finnish driver. And Loris has spun out of the final corner. You can see the yellow flags. You can see the stopped car on the minimap. Might even be able to see it. There it is. As we look at Phil crossing the line, he's not able to improve. He's going to start P8. Loris has binned it at the final corner, as we've seen him do all the way back in Season 1. And that means that one of the quickest drivers in the field is going to start all the way down in P14. Leland doing some low and moan to keep us entertained as we wait for the next driver to cross the line. That's going to be his teammate Blundy, coming through the Peraltana now. What can he do as he makes his way up to the line, right up to the exit of the track, and Blundy goes to the front row of the grid. P2 for the Williams driver. I said he's had some intermittent pace. He's got it today, but he's going to be usurped by Bimpo, who's going to immediately look to take that place back. Kiesiel jumps up to 4th. There's so much time in the track right now at the death of the session. What about I Like Trains? Can he make it, well, 2 V-Carbs up towards the front of the field, tied up towards the line? He does improve, but it's not enough to gain any places, and Narde will follow him home. He can only stay in P7, and that is going to be the end of qualifying, and what a frantic end as well. Nardo takes pole position. Bimpo does just about get himself back onto the front row of the grid, but Blundy, what a lap by him on his return to the LRC, gets himself into 3rd, and Kiesiel as well in P4, both of them getting ahead of Binmeister in P5. Wow. So Loris is saying that he apparently got invalidated with a little bit of help from Leland, so didn't see exactly what that was. In any case, the crash at the final corner certainly won't have helped him, so yeah, I think just a bit of a messy qualifying session from him, unfortunately. And yeah, I have I have no really yeah, I still have no idea why Elias decided to retire from the session. As far as I know, it was in the pit lane. not entirely sure, but either way, he's going to be starting from the back and trying to do a last to first challenge here today, which is the opposite of what we've seen before. Finally, it's going to be Nardo at the front, Elias at the back, and certainly going to be a very entertaining race ahead of us. We'll take the opportunity to look properly through the grid order once we do get onto the race screen, but this is certainly going to be a very entertaining race ahead of us. I have no doubt about it now, so you'll have to keep with us for these next couple of minutes, whilst hopefully we leave enough time for everyone to prepare and procure their setups and make whatever adjustments they need to for the race and the race strategy. And then, we'll be back to have a look at the grid order and see how things are shaping up. Obviously, there's not going to be too much variation on strategy, I would assume. Obviously, Tim Bleish is driving here today, so we can never be too sure what's going to happen, but I'm going to assume it will just be inters for the whole field, so we'll see how that goes. So let's take the opportunity now then, whilst everyone is getting prepared, to have a look through the grid order. So obviously, it's going to be Nardo on pole position from Bimpo in second. Then Blundy up in third place, like I say, very good stuff by him and Kiesel, locking out that second row of the grid. Then Bimmeister, I think, might be a little bit disappointed to only come away with P5 in that session, but still plenty good enough position to make inroads and potentially set himself up for another podium in the race. Then he's going to be joined by fellow Brit I Like Trains, who is reserving for VCARB here today, so he will not be eligible for points, but still putting in a good shift as ever, as we've seen him do plenty of times this season. After getting his first podium last week in Singapore, we'll see if he can try to repeat the feat here today. Then it's going to be Nade in P7, making it a very good day for McLaren so far, and we know that Nade is good in these races, so, well, he's good in the races, but he has had a couple of races to forget, unfortunately, over both of the past two, and potentially even past three races have been just a little bit off colour from the Costa Rican driver, so we'll see if he can get back on form with a clean race here today. He's going to be joined on row 4 by Unitas, who gets himself a nice qualifying session. I was right to point out that he had plenty more pace in the tank early on. Indeed he did. Then it's going to be Phil and Blazer, so all Aston Martin on row 5 in P9 and P10. Phil and Blazer, I think, might have been expecting a little bit more. Blazer especially, I would say. We know his one-lap pace is generally very good, but I don't think he did particularly much practice for this race, so we'll see if he perhaps improves as the session goes on. And speaking of perhaps, he's going to be starting in P11, and we can now get started with the formation lap, so we'll continue what we were doing. We'll just take a brief moment to check. Yes, nobody's lost their minds, everyone's on inters, and we can continue our rundown through the grid, so perhaps, obviously, off the back of winning the Constructors' Championship, and almost off the back of driving into the back of AJ, he's going to be starting down in P11, so AJ will share that 6th row of the grid with him. Again, unfortunately for AJ, his qualifying pace just hasn't generally been the best so far this season. He had a very good race in Monza, but aside from that, and also Brazil earlier on, it's not been the most fruitful season for the Canadian driver, so we'll see what he can do. Always a threat in these races, but he's going to be looking, I think, first and foremost, just to try and keep everything clean, and perhaps the same will apply to Lerland in behind him, with a reasonably solid grid spot for him up in P13. See what he can do. Obviously, out-qualifying Loris, who he may have had a little bit of an altercation with in the qualifying session that we didn't catch, so we'll see if we get to have a look at that in the clips for stream later on, but in any case, Loris will not be particularly pleased with starting down in P14. Obviously, he is only reserve here today, but he's going to be looking for a much better result than that come the finish of this race. Tim Bleish, on the other hand, will be probably reasonably happy to not qualify in the back row of the grid. I'm not sure if he's even managed that so far this season, so good job by him to get P15. And we'll see, again, if he can just keep things clean, or how long he can keep things clean for in this race. As Mr. Zuxon is going to be down in P16, he'll be a bit disappointed with that. Was starting to build some good late-season momentum, but unfortunately it's going to be a bit of a tall order for him to try and get up the order and into the points here today. Same goes for Trimmersheave down in P17. And then, obviously, right at the back of the order, Elias is going to be most likely the fastest car on track in the lowest starting position. So this is going to be very, very interesting to watch. It's got drama written all over it. A wet race at Mexico, of course it's going to be dramatic. There's going to be chaos most likely at some stage of the race, and we're just waiting for Elias now to make his way into the grid slot at an incredibly unorthodox angle, because of course he gets reset back to his grid, and that means we are ready to go for the race here in Mexico. We've got 3, 4, and 5 red lights. And we are go for round 11 of Season 7, and it seems like a decent start for the McLaren, but Bimpo's going to match Nardo off the line. They're going to be wheel-to-wheel as they head down towards Turn 1. It's a very long run down to the first corner, so anyone's game. As they head into the braking zone, it's going to be the Haas on the inside. Everyone's kept it clean behind them, but for how long? Wheel-to-wheel through the first corner as they go. Binmeister's managed to get himself back up into 3rd place as Blundy's dropped down a few places. He's side-by-side now with Unitas, who's had a good start, as they all snake their way through the first corners and make it through cleanly so far, but it is Nardo who's managed to hold onto the lead. Bimpo holds onto P2, and Binmeister jumps up the order into 3rd place, catapulting himself right back into the battle. Meanwhile, you can see through the spray there, multiple cars wide in the background. We'll see if we can ride on board here with AJ. He's side by side with I Like Trains as they head in towards Turn 7 here. Very slow double apex right-hander. Everyone's still just about making it through cleanly. Elias has made up 2 places already. He's up into P16. And is now onto the back of Trimmersheave, and it's Leland and Tim, who both had reasonable qualifying sessions, but unfortunately have dropped right back down the order at the start of the race. And Elias now, side by side, coming through the S's. This is with Trimmersheave. These two have had some battles already this season, and now Elias going to go very late on the brakes to try and get around the outside of I Like Trains, who's dropped right down the order to 16th. Contact between all 3 of them as they were 3 wide indeed, going through the corner there, and Elias just about makes it through. Now it's Leland and Train side by side. Leland getting all kinds of out of shape as they come through the final sector, but thankfully everybody is just about able to live to fight another day after some intense fighting already. And Elias, 10-second time penalty for corner cutting. That doesn't seem right at all, but he's not going to be able to remove that after the race because he is indeed going to have to make a pit stop. It is not going well for the Ferrari man here today, and yeah, the fight for the win is now even more open than it already was in this race, as yeah, the drama is very much starting to ensue already. You can see perhaps has managed to get in between the 2 Aston Martins, Phil dropping down a couple of places on the start here. And our 5-time Season 7 World Champion has got it all to do in this race now. He's got himself a penalty, 10-second time penalty no less, which, like I say, he's going to have to serve that in the pit stops. It won't be able to be removed from his race time. He's just going to have to factor that in and deal with that now. So he and Aero are going to have quite a tall order of a race ahead of them on strategy. I Like Trains disconnected from the session. That was why he was, dropped down the order so much on the start of the race. That's a big shame for him. Qualified all the way up in 6th, and he's now down to the back of the field straight away. So, yeah, we'll see how he can recover in this race as well, as Elias is now able to dispatch of Zoxon and continue climbing up the order up into P13. Meanwhile, back out up at the front of the field, it's been a perfect start for Nardo, and this is really what he needed. He was looking for a good qualifying session so that he could do exactly this, get away at the front of the field and not have anyone challenging him, or at least not anyone to race wheel to wheel against for the time being, and just be able to focus on his own race. But obviously Bimpo is going to be doing everything he can to keep that McLaren driver honest for as long as possible, because we know that Haas driver also has some very good pace, and Binmeister likewise. Down in P3, he's going to be looking to just see if he can pick up the pieces if these guys do eventually go side by side. And speaking of which, we do not, actually, surprisingly enough, have anyone going side by side yet. Oh, nope, spoke way too soon. That is now Loris up the inside. Trains retires from the session, and I feel like that's because he's rejoined. And I think he's got the exact same bug that Blazer had last week, so absolutely brilliant stuff from Codemasters. And hang on, was that damage for Blazer there? I think I feel like I might have seen something come off his front wing. No, it wasn't. Okay, very, very fortunate for him. I thought I might have just seen an end plate fly off, but no, that is not the case, so he's going to be still trucking on in this race, as Phil has managed to get past Perhaps, but he's now going to potentially lose that position again, as round the outside goes Perhaps. They make contact going into the hairpin there, and I don't think Phil's going to be best pleased with that at all. It didn't seem like the Ferrari driver left him enough space. I mean, it was quite hard to say from the angle that we were seeing it at, but in any case, that's not going to help his race out at all. He's lost quite a bit of time now, and he's going to be dropping into the clutches of both AJ and Elias, more importantly, who was trying to make the move up the inside of AJ, coming through the Peraltana. But he's not been able to do so, so he's going to have to wait till turn 1. AJ's going to try his own move onto Phil as he, well, sort of gets to the inside, but he's never actually managed to get alongside, and so Elias is just going to have to back out, play the patient game, and accept that he's going to lose even more time in this battle. So, yeah, like I say, it's going to be an uphill battle and a half for this man to try and get himself anywhere near even the podium at this stage. Obviously, if we do get a safety car, that will be really his main chance of contending for the higher places in this race. But meanwhile, or in the meantime, it is just his focus to try and get past the Red Bull. AJ is giving him a great scrap, and they're going to bang tyres as they head towards the S's. Ferrari's got the inside line, but AJ's going to hang it round the outside, runs right up to the exit of the track though, and eventually has to work those brakes to try and make sure he doesn't go right off the track, which he almost does now, and that's going to give Mr. Zuxon a much better run, heading out of the S's, heading down towards the fast right-hander here, see what he can do on the brakes. He's going to go later round the outside and get himself up into P13 with a nice tidy move. So up at the front of the field, Bimpo is still keeping Nardo honest. The gap is down to around about 0.6 of a second. Meanwhile, Loris is coming under pressure from Nardo. Oh, sorry, no, Loris is making a move on Unitas, I should say, heading in towards the first corner, and he's going to make it stick just about cleanly, ever so slightly ahead of the Alpine as they got into the braking zone. And that is enough for the Dutch driver to see himself now up into P6. What a start it's been from him. Obviously started way down in 14th. We've seen him have some great starts before. Brazil springs to mind. And yeah, he's done basically a repeat of that here. Straight up into 6th place. Brilliant stuff by him. And he's now going to have some clean track ahead of him to see if he can't get after the Williams of Blundy, who is further up the road. And it is really a bit of a 5-car train, or, well, it was a 5-car train, it is now really a 3-car train because Nardo and Bimpo have broken away from Shadow up at the front of the field, so yeah, we'll see what the rest of these guys are able to do, but I think they will not need any further invitations, Nardo and Bimpo, to continue running away up at the front of the field. And yeah, Nardo is going to be on the back now, or almost on the back of Unitas as they snick their way through this very slow sector. Nardo's teammates, obviously very confusing with the names. Nardo sets the fastest lap of the race. Nardo is going to make his way out of the final corner, see if he can get a better exit than the Alpine. Both of them were snaking around a little bit. AJ's going to pick up a time penalty of his own now, as that is now the second of them coming in, because Nardo already got one earlier on in the lap, coming through the S's, but now he's going to try to make amends for that with a move to the inside, but Blazer's going to make it 3 wide to the inside of turn 1. Thankfully, the American driver backs out and leaves it to the McLaren and the Alpine to fight, but he's back around the outside, coming through turns 2 and 3 now, but again, going to get ran out of road there, unfortunately for him. He's just going to have to drop back in behind, but getting a little bit feisty for a second there, which is exactly what we've come to expect from Blazer, but thankfully, everybody keeping things clean for the time being. Meanwhile, further down the order, almost 3 wide again coming into turn 4, and it's AJ repassing, I believe, Zuxon now, back up into 13th place, and Trimmershave seeing if he can try and get involved as well, and get himself any further places up the order. Meanwhile, Elias is now onto the back of perhaps his teammate, and I will assume that it's not going to be particularly long before the Finnish driver moves out of the way, and it's not going to be long before Elias's day goes from bad to worse as he gets himself already a 3-second time penalty for track limits. Perhaps is going to, well, make a bit of a meal of getting out of the way there, to be honest. I don't know why he didn't just pull to the inside. Well, okay, I suppose that would be why. Phil is right in behind them, so fair enough. But Yeah, Elias, a penalty already, only on lap 6 of the race. Things are just not going well for him today, unfortunately, as we have a yellow flag, and that is for AJ, who's spun it backwards through the stadium section at the far result, and he is now dropping right down to the back of the field. I said he would just be looking for a clean day first and foremost, and unfortunately, that is not what he's going to be getting, as he is now backwards once again into the wall. Meanwhile, looking back up the field, towards the battle that we were seeing this time last lap, it has been a similar story without the side-by-side moments, and Unitas just about able to stay ahead of Nade and Blazer. AJ retires in the pit lane, so that should not cause any kind of safety car, but yeah, unfortunate for him. This season just has not gone his way so far, and we'll see now if Blazer might try and set up a little move to the inside of Nade going turn 7. He got the better exit, but was not able to get alongside just yet, as now perhaps also is going to be the next driver joining the penalty club. So they sneak their way through the S's here. Obviously, we're going to expect plenty more penalties to come before the end of this race, as you saw Elias just having a little bit of a look on Blazer there. Might fancy a look to the outside of turn 17, or turn 14. He's going to switch it to the inside, though, trying to make his way past the Aston Martin, but he's going to hold himself up just a little bit in the process there. It is very tricky to make a move through that section of track, and so he's going to have to stick in behind for now. Excuse me, and see if he can make it work down the start-finish straight. We would expect he's going to have some pretty good straight line speed if previous years are anything to go by. Indeed he does. He's going to blast right past. And Nardo has made a mistake again. I was about to say he'd got himself a gap, but no, it has gone wrong again for Nardo. I cannot believe how many mistakes this driver has made in comparison to his pace, and unfortunately this one is going to be just as costly as all of the others. He's going to drop from the lead only down to P5, so it's not a disaster for him. He's not picked up any damage, but he's going to drop right down the order, and he's lost a massive amount of time to the race leader, which is now Bimpo, who's, well, done traditional Bimpo things of just keeping things clean and keeping things quick. He is now going to inherit the lead of that race, and well, yeah, it's just, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it is becoming very much trademark Nardo at this point. And yeah, I suppose he's almost taken over the Reign of Shadow's name, and yeah, he's going to see himself drop down to P5 as all the while, Elias, his potential rival, or I suppose he's been a rival a few times before in this race. Doesn't look like either of them are going to be really in contention for the win at this stage, but yeah, Elias was able to get himself past Phil, and, past Blazer, and up into P9, as now another mistake. This time it's from Unitas. Very careful turning it round there. That is the worst place to spin, because he's got to wait for everyone to go by, and, well, again, it's another mistake. It's exactly what we're expecting, and unfortunately, it's another mistake from another driver who really could have used very much the opposite and a clean race here today. Meanwhile, Elias is trying to keep things clean in his fight with Nade. He will obviously keep it fair, the McLaren driver, and he's just about, well, actually keeps it a little bit too fair, to be honest. He runs wide through turn 3 and allows the Ferrari driver through, but he obviously knows that really Elias is not his race here today, but yeah. The Ferrari man is continuing his climb up the order, as behind him, thought I saw a little bit of side-by-side action. Indeed I did, and that was, well, it was perhaps in Phil side-by-side for a second until, well, some kind of desync or lag happened, and it turns out that perhaps is still up in P10 and was never actually under threat from that position. So, yeah, some strange things going on here today, and Unitas, unfortunately, has decided to call it quits, and that means 3 retirements already after only the first 9 laps of the race, and Loris is going to get himself a time penalty now as well. And we will have to take a look at those time penalties, to be honest, because there's quite a lot of them already. So Blazer's actually got 2 of them to his name so far, up to 6 seconds already. That's been something that he has struggled with at times this season. Just trying to keep the car within the white lines has cost him a few places, and it seems like that is going to be the case again here today. But I think what's going to cost him more places in the meantime is probably going to be both perhaps and Phil queuing up behind him to see if they can make some moves of their own. You can see the Aston driver not exactly having the cleanest racing lines at the moment, as he clearly is fighting with the rear end. He did say in the chat before the race that he was going to run a dry setup. I don't know if that is what he did, to be honest, but judging by the way the car is handling, that wouldn't be all that surprising as things stand, and yeah, I think perhaps there's smelling some blood in the water perhaps here, and is going to look to see if he can make his way through in one of the coming corners, presumably down the start-finish straight, but yeah, I think Blazer is just about doing the job he needs to at the moment, and might even try to play a little bit of team games here, and see if he can back, perhaps, into Phil, see if he can help his teammate get past. No, he's not going to do that. He's going to make a mistake and fall right off the track and lose both places anyway, so you can immediately discount what I was saying, but Phil is going to try to make the most of the opportunity anyway, having a look to the outside of the Finnish driver as they head back into the Forosol now. He's going to try to offset the line of the Ferrari as he makes his way through, going to get a much better exit. Thought he might try it in to the inside of turn 16 for the final, so completely lost track of all of my words. Thought he might have tried it to the inside of the final corner at turn 16, but no, decides to think better of it. And so he's going to set the move up now. Plenty of battery usage. He's going to go to the outside. Has to take to the grass a little bit there with his front left tyre, but he is going to make it through nonetheless. And Blazer's going to try to follow him through on the inside. 3 wide for a moment, and Blazer is going to get through. Perhaps has to back out side by side between the two Aston Martins for a second, but thankfully they are able to keep it clean in contrast to what we've seen in races gone by. And yeah, everybody negotiates those corners cleanly, and in the end it does actually work out quite nicely for both of the British racing green cars, so good job by them. Although, obviously, the battle is far from over as things stand, because perhaps is still sniffing at the back of Blazer, exactly like he was this time last lap, except obviously now with Phil Malone past the both of them. So we'll see how those guys continue to fare, as now Elias has caught up to his next victim in this race, and that is going to be none other than Loris. Obviously, again, as we say, Loris is just a reserve. I wouldn't expect him to fight too hard against Elias, but he's obviously not going to relinquish the chance and relinquish the position too easily to scrap against the title leader. He's actually going to hit the back of the Ferrari, and yeah, not making things too easy for him, but also not compromising his own race too much as well. And yeah, Elias is going to get through, losing the back end, and I think Trimashave might have lost the back end just a little bit more now. He's dropping down again to the back of the field, another driver with another mistake, and unfortunately, it's yeah, coming in for the Bulgarian in the second of the Saubers. He is going to now drop down to the back of the field, as Loris is actually, yeah, I told you, he's not going to go down without a fight. He's going to come back for the re-overtake move on Elias, so yeah, he's got nothing to lose. I don't think either of them do, really, to be honest, and so they're going to relish the chance to go wheel to wheel through turns 2 and 3. They're still side by side coming off the corner. Loris was thoroughly off the track there, but he's not going to be too phased by that. To the inside, he's going to go for turn 4. They're about level on the brake, and they're going to make more contact as they go through 4 into 5, getting very close on the inside for the Ferrari. Now Loris is going to be on the outside. Surely he can't make that work through turn 7. He's going to try to hang it round the outside. The rear end says no, and that is Elias finally now through up into P6. Very nice scrap in between those two guys, and I think Nade has made a mistake of his own now. He is going to drop down to P14. I don't even know how he's managed to do that. He must have spun coming off of turn 5. Something like that, I'm not too sure. But again, the mistakes just keep on flooding in this race, and unfortunately, Nade still not going to be able to get himself a clean race going at this stage. Meanwhile, back up towards the front of the field, Bimpo has continued to clear off from Shadow in second place, and yeah, the Haas driver is doing absolutely everything he needs to bring home 25 points for that team as things stand, and it's going to be the fight then behind him between Binmeister, Kiesel and Blundy, all getting very close together, and Nardo is actually now catching up to and has pretty much caught up to the back of these guys, and might fancy himself a chance at trying to continue his fight for the lead, as Nade is also going to retire from the session. That is four drivers out of the race after just 13 laps. They are dropping like flies here at this stage, unfortunately. And yeah, I think we might even get to a point where, if you do manage to finish the race and make it to the checkered flag, you might even end up scoring points anyway, because we do, of course, still have quite a few reserves left in the race. Kiesel losing the back end big time coming through the S's there. That's going to give Blundy a sniff of a chance, but that's actually going to check up Blundy more than it's going to help him. And now Nardo is going to breeze straight past coming out of the S's, and that well, I don't think Blundy thought that too hard. I think he knows what's good for him, and he's probably going to try and see if he can follow that McLaren driver through now. Obviously, the Italian much quicker than these guys if qualifying and the race until the mistake is anything to go by. So I would expect him to make his way right past these guys. Obviously, If he can do it cleanly is going to be the main question at this stage, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we know he's got more pace than these guys, and so we'll see if Blundy's able to play a tactical game and try to follow him through. And obviously you can't quite see it. Well, if I turn off the graphic, you can just about see in the back of the haze the Ferrari of Elias, and bringing Loris with him actually, so Loris might be playing a nice strategic game here to just stick with the toe of that Ferrari. But yeah, Elias slowly but surely trying to make his way up to that battle. But obviously the thing is, if he does manage to catch up to the fight for P2, he's still going to have to, well, he's going to have to overtake them and then clear off a 10-second gap as well. So it's going to be tricky, as I think, well, Kijel was properly drifting in there through turn 7. He's controlled it nicely, but yeah, these guys still showing just how hard the conditions are and just how much focus you need to keep to maintain your competitiveness in this race. As now Lelin and Zoxon are going to be side by side, coming through turns 4 and 5, getting close together, banging tyres a little bit. Nardo, by the way, has picked up a 3-second time penalty coming through the S's. Meanwhile, Zoxon up the inside again of Lelin, heading in towards turn 7, and he's going to make the move stick. Surely Lelin can't send a dive bomb there. No, thankfully not. He's going to back out and settle back into P12. So nice clean fight in between those two. But yeah, Nardo picking up a time penalty, that is not going to help his case at all. So, we'll see what he can do now. The Red Bull, or sorry, the V-Carb is going to be closing up to the back of the Mercedes, but not really closing enough. Probably just not wanting to over-deploy the battery at this stage in the race, and so Nardo's going to close right onto the back and actually hit the back for a second of Kijel there. Everybody concertina in through the first few corners. They've actually pulled away a bit from Blundy at this stage, but Nardo getting a much better exit than Kijel, and he's going to go straight past. And again, Kijel, another driver, just not wanting to fight it too hard, but Nardo's going to go deep in the corner. Kijel's almost going to be forced to fight it there just to stay out of the side of the McLaren driver. Meanwhile, Perhaps is also trying to make a move of his own through the first few corners, and he indeed is going to make that move to finally get past Blazer and up into P9. See if the American can fight it. No, he's too far back. Perhaps has managed his battery nicely there to stay ahead of the Aston, and he is, yeah, finally through, up ahead of the American. So, good stuff by him, but yeah, back towards the front of the field. Nardo obviously now past Kijel, and again, I think Kijel just sharing the same strategy of Blundy of wanting to try and follow the McLaren through, but seems like whenever the McLaren does get past these guys, he tends to gap them quite quickly. So yeah, it's not necessarily the best strategy as things stand, but we'll see if it happens to work this time around. Phil now picks up a time penalty of his own, and at the exact same time Blazer will pick up his 3rd time penalty of the race, bringing him up to 9 seconds now. It is going to be really difficult for him to score points from here with that many penalties. Meanwhile, here we go, battle for second into turn 1, gets very close together between Nardo and Binmeister, but yeah, Shadow just about having to relinquish the position, but he's close enough if he would like to try and challenge for that position once again. Blazer now out of the race. He's is that retired in the pit lane? I think it must be, by looking at the track map. So I think having seen that many mistakes, he's decided to call it quits. But look at Binmeister here, just dragging the back end all the way around the corners, making it do things it doesn't want to do. Same thing for Nardo. These two getting way too close for comfort, coming through the end of the first sector and start of the second sector. Thankfully, they are able to just about keep it clean. Watch out for the back end there, Binmeister. Just about holds onto it. Kijel's trying to have a look to the outside, and he's also struggling for grip. They're all struggling for grip. Coming to the end of the first stint here, the tyres are going to be very warm by this stage. Kijel's going to see if he can try to line up a move to the outside of the right-hander here, but with the inside line, Binmeister defends. Will Kijel throw it to the inside of the hairpin? He's not going to do that, and so he's going to have to settle back behind into P4 for the time being, but he's right on the back of the Mercedes and is going to be presumably lining up a pass by the second they get to the first corner. Some great racing here today in the tricky conditions, so it's always nice to see. And Lelin has actually made his way past Trimashev, and Blundy is into the pits. There we go. That is, yeah, exactly what I was saying. The tyres will be very much wearing out by this stage in the race, so Blundy is going to go for an undercut, and we'll see how well that works out for him. Meanwhile, Lelin was indeed able to get past Mr. Zoxon somewhere in the middle sector of the lap, so that is, yeah, interesting by him. I feel like Mr. Zoxon might have made a mistake or something. It seemed like the Williams was closing quite quickly, but yeah, in any case, He's doing a good job in this race. They might even be side by side again into turn 1. No, Zuxon's going to think better of it, and they will maintain single file for the time being. But yeah, some very, very good battle in action and wheel-to-wheel racing so far in this race, as Trimmershave is now also into the pits, and Nardo is going to be... No, Nardo's made another mistake. He's not in the pit lane at all, and it's a... Oh, man, it doesn't get any worse. It doesn't get any better for this McLaren driver. I don't know what he's got on those rear tyres, but it seems like it must be some kind of butter. I don't know. He just cannot make it through a race without making some mistakes, and yeah, it's plagued him once again here. A golden opportunity he had from pole position with Elias at the back of the field. This should have been his win for the taking, but it's still not going to go his way in LRC, and honestly, at this stage, I would not be surprised to see him pull into the pits and retire, because he's also got wing damage, as Loris making a last-second call to follow Elias into the pits. And let's see, Nardo is going to be in, and yeah, he is indeed gonna call it a day there. So yeah, things just don't get any better for the Italian in LRC, and yeah, things aren't exactly going particularly well for his rival, Elias, who is now obviously having to serve that 10-second penalty. Loris is going to be well up the road from him by the time they leave the pits, and let's see exactly how far down the order Elias does drop as his car comes to a stop. Why has his car come to a stop? Is that a glitch? Am I seeing this correctly? Is he going to teleport forwards? Doesn't seem like it. It seems like he has genuinely just come to a stop for no apparent reason. I can't ride on board or anything whilst he's in the pit lane, so I have no idea what's going on. I'm going to be completely honest. It seems like a bad day is going to continue to get even worse for Elias. His car has decided that it's just going to switch off in the pit lane and then switch back on about 5 seconds later, serving some kind of unorthodox 5-second penalty. I have no idea what that was. Codemaster's really just having a field day at this stage, but yeah, very, very bizarre stuff going on here in this race, I don't know, but certainly nothing seems to be going particularly well for Elias at this stage, because he's also come out of the pits right behind Tim Bleich as a result of his bizarre stop-and-go penalty. I have no idea what it was, to be honest, but yeah, he's going to be right behind the Swiss driver and getting held up even more now, so if he had any chance of a podium, that is failing a safety car, completely gone at this stage, and the race is going to go right round the outside of Tim. Brilliant move, to be fair to him, but yeah, that is not going to come as much consolation at this point, as meanwhile, further up the order, that is now Phil Malone next into the pits, and perhaps just about making it in okay. It's a very tricky pit exit in these conditions, or pit entry in these conditions, I should say, and yeah, very nearly made it into the pit wall there, but thankfully, everyone makes it through and into the pit lane cleanly, and now, I mean, just look at this timing tower on the left side of the screen. We are only halfway through the race, and almost the whole field remaining at this stage has time penalties to some degree. So, yeah, I think it just goes to show more than anything else what an incredible job Bimpo is doing up at the front of the field. He's not made his one and only stop in this race. Well, I mean, I don't believe he has. Let me just check. No, he has made his pit stop, and he is genuinely just that far out in front. So, yeah, he is doing a phenomenal job at this stage. All he needs to do from here to the end is really just keep it clean, keep on top of his tyres, keep on top of his battery and his fuel, and if he can do all of that, then he should be home and dry, or perhaps home and wet, for his first win of Season 7. Would be very impressive by him, and he's done everything he needs to so far, so I'll leave him to his own business. Would not want to give him any kind of commentator's curse at this stage, so we'll reshift our focus back onto this battle for second, which is now reformed after the pit stops, and is still with Binmeister just ahead of Kijol, who is just ahead of Blundy, so these guys still as close as ever in their fight. And it is really anyone's game in the battle for these final podium positions, because obviously they all have 3 seconds of penalties, so it's going to be equal as things stand, and once they cross the line. So yeah, I've seen some very bizarre things today, and I'm sure, well, as I can see, the chat is just as perplexed as I was to see what on earth was going on in the pit lane. I don't even know at this stage, and yeah, it can only feel for Elias, really. He's not done, well, I suppose, we don't exactly know how much he's done wrong to earn whatever bad luck has come his way in this race, because we didn't see why he got the 10-second time penalty, or why he retired from qualifying, but yeah, in any case, it's just been a day to forget for him at the track, and in the same conditions, in fact, where he won his first, I believe, or second, or third, I don't know, where he won one of his titles a long time ago. He's unfortunately not going to be repeating any kind of glorious antics here today, and is just going to be trailing around. He's obviously now back past perhaps and is just going to be trailing around in the lower points paying positions until he can, well, catch the next car. That's going to be Phil Malone will be next up. I'd imagine he is going to catch the German, but after that it is, well, it's going to be another, 11 and a bit second gap to Loris. I would have to say, without a safety car, that will probably be too much for him to overcome, but Loris does have 9 seconds of penalties, so we'll see if he can try and get himself P5 on the road. Obviously, Loris being a reserve, he will get past anyway in the end, but yeah, it's a day to forget for our world champion of this season. So yeah, I suppose we can deliver a second week of drama in a row. Unfortunately, you couldn't see it last week, but this week you very much can, and it seems like we are going to be getting ourselves a 4th different winner in this season, whatever happens here, unless, well, I suppose Binmeister could try and make it his second win of the season. He's doing everything he needs to, if there was to be something that went wrong for Bimpo up ahead, keeping himself in second place, but yeah. The guys in behind him, Kiesel and Blundy, are going to be making sure that he does not go uncontested in that second place whatsoever. So we'll see if Kiesel can make a move. It seems like he's got at least equal, if not better, pace than that Mercedes, but he's just not been able to find a way through so far. So yeah, here we are then. 21 laps completed in the race, and only 12 drivers remaining on the track. We've had 6 retirements. The entire McLaren team, unfortunately, has fallen, despite having such a strong qualifying session, and yeah, that's not going to help them very much in the constructors at all. Same goes for Blazer and Aston Martin. They are actually going to lose some ground, despite having a 2-car team compared to the 1-car team as it stands of Haas. Motivational Lizard is the second Haas driver. He was supposed to be here today, but unfortunately, for one reason or another, was not able to make the race. So it is just up to Bimpo to try and bring home points for the team, as here we go, the battle is finally kicking on for second place. Kiesel was side by side for a second. In fact, I think he might have even been ahead for a second, but Binmeister straight back past him, and is now going to be trying to defend as they head towards turn 4. Both of them were on the grass for some reason as they headed out of turn 3, but yeah, everyone's still keeping it clean. You can see on the steering wheel, Kiesel has drained almost his entire battery at this stage, so he's got great pace, but he needs to really save some of that up because the last quarter of the battery is not as useful as the rest of it. It's a bit less powerful, so that's not going to be helping him out, and that might even be why he's struggling so much to make a move. So we'll see if he decides to try a different strategy, see if he can save up battery for a lap and then deploy some more. But yeah, as things stand, I think Binmeister is just about doing everything he needs to hold on to that position. But yeah, these guys are going to be certainly side by side quite a few more times before the checkered flag, I would have to assume. So we will keep our eyes fixated on this as Bimpo now sets the fastest lap of the race. He is showing no signs of slowing down. He's got plenty of gap if he did wish to slow down and take it easy to the end, but being the racing driver that he is, why on earth would he want to do that? So yeah, just continuing his classy performance up at the front, and we will continue to watch what is now the only battle in the field as things stand, and it is of course the battle for second place still. Go and gun between Binmeister and Kiesel, but it's really, at this stage, just a bit of a game of chess more than anything else, to see when and where you can set up a move as Elias picks up another time penalty. So it's going to be a bit of a slower paced race than usual. I suppose we might have actually seen that this time last week in Singapore if we were to have streamed it, because it was generally just a very long and drawn out race of everyone trying to keep their focus and try to limit the mistakes, which is basically the exact same thing as we're seeing here today. Obviously 36 laps in the wet conditions is pretty lengthy, so these guys are doing a very good job so far to just keep on top of their focus, and everyone that is left in the race is really... I don't think anyone who's still in the race has actually really made any major mistakes, so yeah, I think everyone who has had something go wrong for them, aside from Elias, has already retired from the session, so these guys have done a fantastic job so far. And I believe now we are at the stage where I think everyone who finishes, if you're a full-time driver, will be scoring points. How many reserves do we have? We've got Loris as a reserve and Tim Bleich also as a reserve, yes. So if you do finish the race now and you're a full-time driver, you will indeed be in the points. Meanwhile, trying to fight for some higher points up at the front of the field, Kjell right round the outside of Shadow, going very deep into turn 2. Shadow's going to try to set up a little switchback move, but he gets a little bit blocked there by the V-Carb, who's defending his position nicely. But look how much speed that Mercedes has got coming off the corner. The traction was incredible for him, and heading into turn 4, there's going to be a little bit of a, half a chance on the inside for for Kjell to try and come back past. He's going to have a look again to the inside of turn 7, but no way through. Shadow just about hanging on to that position. And doing everything that he needs to do in that Mercedes, making his battery work more effectively, and making his tyres work perhaps a little bit more effectively as well, with some very, very impressive traction coming off of the third corner. So we also had, I believe, a battle further down the order. I think that was potentially Llewellyn and Tim changing places. Yeah, Tim's dropped 2 places there. He was running in P9, so he must have made a mistake somewhere in those first few corners. He is now dropping back out of the points. Obviously, only reserve, wouldn't have been able to score any anyway, but he's going to drop now back down to P11 in this race. So here we go again. Your, I don't know, 20th round of Deja Vu. It's feels like it's been hours and hours of watching these guys do the same battle at this point. It's more of a choreographed dance at this stage than anything else. And it is once again going to be with Bimmeister. Shadow just about able to stay ahead into the first corner. Not going to give out any sniff of a chance to that V-Carb behind. And all the while, I do have to wonder if Blundy in behind these guys, he's been hanging back at around about this distance for pretty much the entire race. We know he's got good pace based on his qualifying performance, but I wonder if he's just saving tyres. He's not particularly saving much battery, so I wonder if he is just trying to keep out of the dirty air and try to hold on to some extra life in these tyres and maybe go for a little bit of a push heading towards the end of the race in the final stages, as we also have Trimmershave now getting past Tim Bleich, who's into the pits. Is he serving a penalty as well? I don't think Tim had a penalty, I'm going to be completely honest. I think he's also just been held in the pits inexplicably. He almost certainly, as far as I'm concerned, did not have a penalty when he entered the pit lane. I have no idea why he got held for so long, but either way, he's going to come out now. Basically in a track of his own. He's actually going to be quite close to his teammate, funnily enough. You can see him there, coming down the straight behind him, but yeah, we'll see if Tim is able to stay on the lead lap. He's got much fresher tyres than everybody else now, so maybe he's going to try to set a fastest lap, I'm not sure. Might be quite a tall order though, with the pace that his teammate is showing. And yeah, we'll see what goes on for him, but unfortunately things just, I don't know, strange things seem to have occurred for the Swiss driver as well. Not the first driver that's happened to in this race, and he seems to have, for some reason or another, found himself now well out of contention for even fighting anybody else at this stage in the race. So, unfortunate stuff for him. We'll see if he does decide to retire at any stage, or if he is just going to keep it on the track and basically just get some free testing in for the remainder of the race. So, yeah, well, we won't really keep an eye on that, to be honest, because he isn't running in P12 and nowhere near anybody else, so what we'll do instead is keep our eye back on this battle for second. It's still going on exactly as it has been forever now, although with Kjell making a big mistake, and actually, Blundy's dropped way back from these guys, so I think, well, you can discard whatever I was saying about him saving tyres. It seems like both of these guys are actually struggling on the tyre work. Wouldn't really surprise me for Kjell. I mean, look at the back end stepping out there. So, yeah, I think being stuck up in the dirty air of Shadow for so long has just started to cost him at this stage in the race, and he seems to be perhaps struggling a little bit on those tyres. I mean, look how hard he's having to fight it coming out of the final corner, so I think Shadow might finally have been able to do enough to ward off the battle coming on from behind. He's dealt with the pressure really well, and is going to be seeing himself now potentially run unchallenged to the end, unless Kjell is able to, I don't know, take some time to cool his tyres and then maybe reignite them before we get to the end of the race. So we'll see what happens there, but what that does mean is now the closest battle on the track is going to be with Elias and Phil fighting for P6. So we'll see what the Ferrari man can do here. Obviously, we will expect him to get past, but we'll see how much of a fight sorry, not Loris. Loris picks up himself another time penalty, taking himself up to 12 seconds now. But, yeah, we'll see if Phil decides to fight it, and if he does, how hard. I would honestly guess at this stage in the race, even though he will obviously be expecting Elias to come past, I still expect that Phil will probably fight this one reasonably hard. It is for track position, and he's probably just a little bit bored of driving around on his own for so long at this point. Meanwhile, Leland and Zoxon still continue in what is basically a race-long battle between these guys. They're probably the only drivers on the track who aren't feeling particularly lonely. And yeah, this time it is Leland getting back ahead of the Mercedes. Unfortunately for Leland, though, he's got 6 seconds of time penalties to Zoxon's none, and that is probably going to end up deciding the outcome of this battle, regardless of how they finish on the track. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on those guys for the remainder of the race, see if they do continue to brawl. But, yeah, first and foremost, it's going to be, once again, Phil defending from Elias, but this time the Ferrari is way closer, and he's going to use plenty of battery to try and dispatch of the Aston Martin. Is he going to be able to do it, though? Phil is going to try to fight it like I expected, but into turn 1, backs off on the brakes, and, yeah, probably just not wanting to risk it. It's unfortunate. Would have been nice to see a good battle between these guys, but I think Phil just playing the sensible game with 6 laps to go. I can't really blame him, honestly. And Elias is now through up into P6, and, well, he's already well within the 12-second range of Loris, and both of these guys are, so they will both get past him on the track. And there's been a mistake for Blundy further up the road, and, well, just when you thought that we might have actually managed to get through the stage of scrappiness in this race, unfortunately that has not been the case, and a driver who was having such a good day on his return to the series, Blundy has now stacked it into the wall coming through the S's, and that is pretty much, well, it's a bit of a race ruiner for him, to be honest. He was looking unlikely to get himself onto the podium with no extra penalties coming in for those guys ahead of him and just not having the same pace that he did in qualifying, but unfortunately for him, he has now made his day get well, a whole hell of a lot worse. It was a great day, but unfortunately that is not going to be the case anymore, and he's going to decide with only 7 laps left to go in the race, he's going to have to stay out with that damage. So yeah, he's yeah, there's going to be a bit of a tricky hole for him to the end of the race. Loris was able to get past him, so Elias might all of a sudden have himself a chance at getting P5. He's almost certainly going to catch up to the Williams with that degree of damage, but if he's able to break a 3-second gap, which is what he will need, that might be another question. But I mean, seeing how fast these guys are closing up to him, I think both of them, both Phil and Elias, are probably going to make their way past and stay ahead once penalties are applied. So yeah, it's a big shame for Blundy, unfortunately, there, and Phil, actually, is doing a very good job at the moment, staying right with Elias as they make their way. Well, they've already completed a lap after the German was overtaken by the Ferrari, and yeah, he stayed right on the back of him, so Phil's doing a nice tidy job here, and he might even be rewarded with potentially a, what would that be, P4 finish, obviously. Loris with the penalties, and then Blundy with the damage. Phil has also got less penalties than Elias, so if he can stay within 3 seconds of the Ferrari, once they get to the checkered flag, if they do both get past Blundy, then yeah, Phil could see himself in a very strong P4 from P10 on the grid, so that would be pretty impressive stuff by him. As meanwhile, these guys, Leland and Zoxon, are still continuing on the battle. They are not quite close enough for anything to happen at this stage. I think Zoxon might have actually just made a little bit of a mistake coming through the S's there, as he drops now down to around about 8 tenths behind the Williams. But yeah, he's just keeping him honest the whole way. I would expect these guys will probably not be separated by more than 1.5 seconds by the, well, for the entire remainder of the race. They seem very evenly matched on pace. Excuse me, and that does mean that Leland is, of course, doing a very, very good job at this stage to outright beat Zoxon on pace and see if he can, well, I mean, he's not going to be able to get those penalties removed, unfortunately, but still, it will be a good finishing result from him, getting himself, I believe it will be P9 once Loris is removed from the results, and then presumably P8 for Mr. Zoxon. So, yeah, these guys are both having reasonable races after some tricky qualifying sessions and tricky starts to the race, but they've just kept it clean, which is most important for them. And yeah, oh, here we go. We've got Elias now. He's already caught up to Blundy, and he's made his way past through the S's, so unfortunately we have missed one of the few moves that are happening at this stage in the race, so I'll make sure to stick with Phil here to see when he can get past. Phil's going to want to get past as soon as possible, because obviously, like we say, he needs to stay within 3 seconds of Elias, so all of the time that he's losing in this final sector is not going to help him at all here, so see if he can get past. He's going to have to do it into turn 1, use whatever battery he's got remaining to see if he can get ahead of his fellow countrymen, but Elias already breaking almost a second gap to Phil here. This is not good for his hopes of getting P4 still in this race. We'll see what he can do. And he's not even going to be close enough to challenge, because Blundy is trying still to challenge against Elias into the first corner, almost close enough to send it to the inside of turn 2, but close but no cigar for him, unfortunately, and yeah, that damage from that accident is really going to cost him big time. Sooner or later, presumably once they go through the middle sector here, Phil is going to get past because of the damage for the Williams driver, and yeah, it is just going to be a case then of seeing, so there's a bit of contact between them, whether he's able to stay within touching distance of Elias. And here we go again, Zoxan and Lelan pledging to keep us entertained with their battle at the back of the field. We already know, like we say, with the penalties that Zoxan is going to finish ahead, but yeah, they're continuing to fight anyway, which is exactly what we want to see. Lelan is going to try to shape up a re-overtake move in towards turn 4 here, just feathering off the brake pedal, and he's going to get it to the inside. The Mercedes is still there as they go wheel to wheel through the mini stadium section, and it is going to be the Mercedes of Zoxan who gets to the inside of turn 7 first, and is going to now complete his overtake to repass the Williams. And I think with 4 laps left to go, they might still have one more change of places left in them yet, so we'll see how these guys get on. But yeah, Phil still has not been able to get past Blundy, and I mean, look how far Elias has run away in that middle sector. Phil's been held up massively because of the well, ailing Williams ahead of him, and unfortunately that is going to be any chance of him getting that P4 in this race pretty much gone by now. Cannot find a way through, so yeah, it's unfortunate for Phil. See if he can send it to the inside of turn 2, thinks better of it, and I think because of the damage, it seems like the lack of aero on the Williams might actually be helping his straight line speed somewhat, but Phil, using all of the battery that he has got left in the tank, he's going to try to get to the outside, going to switch it now to the outside of turn 5 to see if he can hang it right around the outside of the Williams. They're very close together between them, but still, Blundy will get to the apex of turn 7 first, and that is going to be enough for him to hold onto the position and continue to frustrate Phil behind him. Elias is now more than 3 seconds ahead of Blundy, and yeah, failing another penalty, that is going to be basically race done for Phil in terms of what position he can achieve. But I mean, at the moment, the first thing he's got to do is actually get past the Williams. We were considering it to be a bit of a easy move, but unfortunately for Phil, that has not worked out in that way at all. There's more contact between them now, as Phil turns in, Blundy understeers with the damage. It's getting very frosty between these guys. Obviously, like I say, they are fellow countrymen, but I don't think they're particularly the best of friends, and certainly they will not be after this race is done. Phil, I can only imagine, is getting a little bit frustrated in the cockpit of that Aston Martin now. Yeah, P5 at this stage, failing another penalty or even a mistake from Elias is really going to be the best that he can do in this race, so we'll see if he is indeed able to get ahead of Blundy. But obviously, Blundy is fighting for track position, so he's well within his rights to fight this as hard as he possibly can to the checkered flag with only a few laps left to go. So we'll see what transpires in that fight, and we'll also try and see what transpires in this battle. Like I say, and like I have said many times, already decided, but we still will appreciate any on-track battling that we can see, and Lelan is going to close up to the back of the Mercedes, and then drop back again from the back of the Mercedes. I don't know if Zoxan just deployed some extra battery late on in the straight, or what went on there, but yeah, those guys not ready to continue their fight just yet, but Phil and Blundy now, we're getting very close together again, coming through the faux stadium section. But still, Blundy able to continue on ahead. Like you say, fighting for track position. If he can keep it ahead, it would be almost a miracle. But Phil setting up a really nice run here, and Blundy now, well, there you go. That's any chance of him staying ahead gone at this stage. Picks up a 3-second time penalty. All Phil has to do is keep it on the track, and Blundy's not going to be able to keep it on the track. Finally, the Aston Martin is through into P6. But yeah, the damage is well and truly done at this stage for Phil. No chance of him staying within the gap that he needed to Elias now, and he's going to have to settle for a still very solid P5 in this race. But yeah, I think he's going to be perhaps just a little bit frustrated once they do cross the line at the end of this race. Also, And down here in no man's land, in between the two battles, is Perhaps, who's really just doing his own thing at this stage. And continuing on his race, Llewellyn is now actually going to pick up another time penalty, so yeah, just putting the nail in the coffin of that battle, but we already knew the outcome of that. They are just fighting for, well, it's not really the wooden spoon. It feels like a fight for the wooden spoon, but they are actually changing places for points, or changing places in the points, I should say. And Llewellyn might try to make the move to the inside of turn 1, but he's not going to be able to do so just yet. Heading into turns 2 and 3, though, Zuxon runs a little bit wide out of the first corner, is going to compromise his line. Llewellyn might fancy a chance, he's got plenty of battery to deploy now, he's going to start using it. Heads to the inside, heading towards turn 4, so we're going to be witnessing deja vu once again. Inside for the Williams, rear locking for the Williams, actually slides into the front wing of Zuxon no less, and with a little bit of help from that drift, is actually able to get the move done. So, nice job by the Italian. I don't know if that was planned or anything like that, but in any case, he's done a good job and is going to take the provisional lead of the on-track battle, I should say. I'm getting all stumbled over my words at this stage in the race, with only a couple of laps left to go, but yeah. Up at the front of the field, this man has done absolutely everything he needs to do. Like I was saying earlier on, this is a heritage Bimpo drive. It's exactly what we come to expect from him, just flawless consistency. He does not make mistakes like some of the drivers around him do, and yeah, when they do make mistakes, in this case, and in other cases before, it does give him the chance to really shine and show what he can do in the series. So yeah, on his first full-time drive for Haas, it seems like he's going to be claiming the top honours if he can just keep it clean for one more tour of the circuit. And given how he's done so far, given the 12.5 second gap he's got to Shadow, and given the fact that he's still not even picked up a single time penalty, I would say he is well on his way to doing exactly that. So Bimpo will start his final lap of the race now, and we will switch back to see any last changes of places behind him, see if anyone fancies any more moves. Phil's actually showing some really good pace at this stage. He's closed the gap quite significantly to Elias, I've got to say, so he's given it everything that he's got at this point, but unfortunately for him, it's going to be far too little too late, unless Elias does pick up a penalty on the final lap of the race, in which case it will be very, very close between them. But as things stand, he's going to be around about 3 seconds too far back, as Blundy now spins it again, coming through the middle through the Forest Sol, and well, he's far enough ahead of perhaps that I don't think he's not going to be in danger of losing any places with only a lap left to go. But yeah, unfortunately, just a sign of how things have fallen apart in this race for the German. Meanwhile, speaking of Germans, Zuxon and Llewellyn going to be side by side once again here into the Forest Sol. This is some of, well, the final corners really for them to actually continue their fight in this race. Zuxon has to back out of it, and Llewellyn is going to get ahead for now. They'll have one more tour of the circuit to try and sort out the scrap. Meanwhile, Tim Bleish and Trimmersheave have caught up to each other. Tim has actually shown some good pace. Trim has dropped off a little bit on those worn inters, and Tim might fancy a chance to the inside. There's contact between them, a kamikaze move by the Haas driver, but he is just about going to keep it clean for now, as his teammate will see the scrapping ahead of him, and he's also going to come round the final corner to see the checkered flag first. Bimpo with a stellar drive will win the Mexican Grand Prix here in LRC. He never looked in doubt after Nardo made that mistake, and he is going to win by some margin ahead of Binmeister, who will take a very solid P2 once again in LRC this season. And it's going to be again a little bit of a while before Kiesel, now 10 seconds back from the Mercedes, is going to come across the line to take P3. Elias, unfortunately for Phil, did not get another penalty on the lap, but look how much he's closed. The gap's down to 4.5 seconds, so it is going to be mighty close as they cross the line. Loris is obviously going to drop all of his positions from penalties, but Phil, unfortunately for him, not close enough to take P4. He was only a second off in the end of things. I think Elias must have backed off. And what about these guys scrapping on the final lap of the race? Is Zuxon going to have anything to try on Llewellyn through the Forest Sol here? He's just a little bit too back. Can he try and set up some move into the final corner? He's going to be close, you know. He might fancy it, but he's just too far back. Going to try to get to the inside. If he gets the better traction, he might still be able to do it. Through the final corner they go, but Llewellyn will just about hold on to take the position on the road. Zuxon obviously knew for a long time he would get the position on penalties, and that concludes a fantastic scrap at the back of the field. And Tim Bleish was in fact able to get ahead of Trimmersheave, but he almost throws it away right at the end there, as they all go skate beaten across the line out of the final corner. Tim will finish 11th. And, well, Trimmershave will take that 11th place then on penalties to round out the order of this race. So there we are then, a fourth different winner this season, something we were not expecting to say, to be honest, after how the middle stage of the year has gone. But again, second race in a row, things have not gone the way of Elias. Penalties and other shenanigans have cost him. He is not even able to make it onto the podium for the first time since Silverstone, and it is going to be Bimpo who capitalises on the mistakes of those around him to take a very well-deserved and well-executed race win. That, I believe, his third, I think, in LRC. I think I'm correct in saying that's his third win. And, it's going to be Binmeister and Kiesel who join him on the podium. Both of those guys having some very strong drives, Kiesel especially. That's really the first time that we've seen him sort of show the same pace that he showed back in Season 6, and finally able to get himself a very nice result. And say that he was able to outscore Elias in one of these races. So, yeah. Good stuff by him. Elias doing a very good job, to be fair, given all of the circumstances, to recover up to P4, but I think he will still be very disappointed with that and probably very frustrated with whatever kind of shenanigans have ensued in his race. Excuse me. And similarly, Phil will probably be a bit disappointed to only come away with P5 there, after having a chance at P4, but his fellow countryman Blundy did not make it any easier for him whatsoever. Blundy will unfortunately come home only P7 after that spin. Loris did take 4th on the line, 6th after penalties, and will be disqualified from the results as he is a reserve. Then perhaps just, doing what he does best, I suppose, having a nice clean race in no man's land, will bring it home in P8 ahead of Zuxen and Lellen, rounding out the top 10, and then Tim Bleish just about getting himself back ahead of Trimmershave, making the two-stop strategy work, and those guys will round out the order. So, a certainly very entertaining race there, very dramatic race, plenty of action going on, and we'll try to get as many of the drivers' thoughts as we can after this. After a short break. I'm not sure how many drivers are still going to be around at this point, to be honest. It was a bit of a frustrating day, I would have to imagine, for a lot of these guys. But, in any case, we will be back in about 5 minutes' time with the driver interviews, with the drivers' onboards from the race, of which I'm sure there will be some plenty interesting ones, and, with the driver of the day poll as well. So, we'll be back in a few minutes' time with that. And... I've messed up my transition. Whatever. We'll see you in a few moments. Alright, welcome back everybody. We are back once again, and ready to resume the stream after the break now. We have the Driver of the Day poll now in the chat. For the first time we now have all options available for you to vote from. So anyone who finished the race, you can take your pick of who you think is most deserving of that award. And then, we will hopefully remember to announce that come the end of the stream. So we'll see how that goes, but in any case, until then, we can get things underway with some of the driver interviews, and thankfully, it looks like for once, we're actually going to be able to start off with our race winner. Bimpo is actually here, so if you give me a second, I will get him in. Alright, there we go. I had to give myself a quick drink of water, but now we are ready to get started with the interviews. Do I have the Discord source set up? Yes, I do. Let me turn that on, and I can bring Bimpo in. Bimpo, hello. I don't know why Loris has just joined at the same time, but anyway, hold on, let me just move him out of that. Don't want him to be a distraction. Okay, Bimpo, are you here?
I'm here.
Very good. Alright, well, I mean, I've got to say, congratulations on a very, very impressive drive by you. That's basically controlled the race from the moment that Nardo made that mistake, and even until then you were keeping him honest at the front. So yeah, I think very good drive by you. How did it feel in the car?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously, there's some aspect of luck with Nardo being Nardo, but there's not many races that are won on without luck, so can't really complain too much about it. I just spent a lot of the race kind of saving tires because I was really scared that I was going to get a puncture at the end because I nearly did.
Interesting. Yeah, it seemed like the tire wear was quite high, and the drop off at the end of the stints was quite almost a little bit overkill at times. So yeah, I mean, I think if Nardo hadn't have made the mistake, do you think you'd have been able to get past him or fight for the win anyway?
I think it would have been close. He might have just had the edge a little bit, but he had the penalty. I didn't, so I think I probably could have stayed within 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Yeah, it seemed like you guys were pretty evenly matched, but yeah, unfortunately, didn't get to see the battle. Did you get to see what exactly happened to Nardo to cause that first spin?
So I think what was happened was someone retired in the pits, and then the car came all the way on, and then it kind of stopped in the middle of the track, and
I
he'd
see.
slam on, and he just kind of spun from that, and then later on, I think he just made a mistake of his own.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. We only saw the back end of the first incident, so yeah, didn't quite get to catch exactly what caused it, but it is pretty unfortunate for him. We did have quite a few drivers retiring in the pits, and Codemasters obviously were doing their worst today with some of the stuff that went on. I'm not sure if you probably wouldn't be aware of it since you were doing just fine up at the front of the field, but we had some very strange things happening further down the order. So yeah, there's not ideal for him, but in any case, you did what you had to do and did what very few people were able to do, which is just drive a very clean race with no mistakes and actually end up with no penalties in the end. So was that a strategy going in here?
Well, I got 2 warnings by lap 7, so
Okay.
that wasn't really to plan. So I spent the rest of the race basically just trying to not get another warning because warnings very often, I believe, get removed. So if I get a warning and then drop back 3-6 seconds, I might not be in contention for the win anymore. So it was basically just a matter of not being dumb, not making bad mistakes, and just keeping it clean, which I think I did a pretty good job of.
Yeah, very much. So I think that's your. I think I'd be correct in saying that's your third win in LSC, and also I think that was also your first, or I think that's a debut win in terms of full-time driving for Haas this season, is it not?
It's not the debut win
Okay.
because I mean it's debut podium technically. If we're counting races that I finished, yes. In Singapore, I retired because my controller broke.
Okay.
But I got the podium in Australia, but that was as a reserve. So not debut win, but the first win of the season. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, there's, I think good drive by you all round then. Don't have too much left to ask about this race, so I'll ask about the next race coming up, which is going to be at Jeddah. So is that, well, I mean, first of all, will you be racing? And then if you are, is that a track that you're fond of?
I should be racing, but Jeddah and controller don't really go well together.
Yes, believe me, I know all too well, don't worry.
So I'm not expecting too much. Mainly just not keeping it, or mainly just keeping it out of the wall is probably going to be the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because every race that I think we've done at Jeddah, I've at least bended it once.
Is it?
So I'm going to try and not replicate that.
Yeah, fair enough. I will presumably be racing in Jeddah next week, so I'll be very much trying to do the same thing as you. We'll see how you get on then. Hopefully, we do have somebody else to stream to actually show exactly what goes on there. But yeah, I'll wish you best of luck for that. Is there anything else you want to say?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, fair enough. Then yeah, in that case, congrats on the win and good luck for next week.
Yeah, cheers, you too.
Thank you. All right. That is our race winner Bimpo, and we can continue as we usually do, simply moving down the order. And we'll go on to our... Well, do we have our second place finisher? That would be Shadow. He is not going to be there, unfortunately. Which is not really any surprise. It's quite standard for Shadow. So third place would be Keishel. He is not there, no surprise. And then fourth place is going to be Elias, who is actually... hold on, I feel like I might be missing him. Let me see. No, Elias is not in the call, interestingly enough. So, yeah, actually not going to be speaking to him for once. I suppose it maybe just didn't feel like it was worth going on since he didn't win the race. I don't know. But we'll see if he comes back later on, see if we can get him in after we finish the rest of the interviews. But yeah, in the meantime, in any case, we can move on to our fifth place finisher, which is going to be one Phil Malone. Let's get him in. Phil, are you with us? I see he's deafened at the moment. There we go, Phil. Are you here? Phil, hello?
Sorry, Mike
there
was
we go.
muted.
Okay. All right, welcome in. I think today was a pretty, well, I mean, there was times that were uneventful, but then there was times that were very eventful for you in this race. Coming from 9th up to 5th, how did things go for you overall?
Pretty boring, honestly. Most of the time, not really something. Nothing really happened. So, kind of 36 laps of time trial. Yeah, I kind of fucked up my start. I got a bit distracted at that. I didn't get off well off the line. I'm sorry, I'm still a bit sick. And yeah, I was kind of irritated, and I got launched a bit too carefully, not to crash into him, costing me 2 positions, and then it was just keeping up with the flow, I guess. For the first stint, second stint was a lot better. As you probably have seen, that's where I got the positions back. Somehow, I think I got a bit lucky with whatever shenanigans EA today had.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's some stuff going on.
I saw a bit, but yeah, otherwise this is pretty uneventful.
Fair enough. How did you see your battle with Blundy towards the end of the race?
Unnecessary.
Somehow I expected you might say that.
I mean, I guess of course he wants to defend the position. That is his good right to do so. But if you have front wing damage, I think he didn't have any end plate on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of unnecessary to defend this hard, I guess, because in the end it cost me a lot of time, and maybe I could have actually beaten out Elias for P4 today, but hey, P5 is still very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is what we were seeing. We noticed that you actually seemed to have some pretty good pace towards the end of the race. I mean, once you did eventually get past get past Blender, you actually closed up the gap pretty significantly to Elias towards the end. So, yeah, do you think do you think your pace was maybe better than you expected, or was Elias just backing off?
No, I think it was Elias tire degradation
Okay.
got him. I think he was on. I read in league chat somewhere he was on 87% or something.
Wow. Yeah, I was going to ask about that as well. We heard from Bimpo as well, and I mean, we could just sort of observe from watching the race that the tire wear seemed to be pretty extreme. So, how was that for you?
Since I had the stop mid race on lap 18, it wasn't that bad. When to be honest, in the second stint, you felt like, or I felt it, because I was pushing more, the degradation was also higher. When I pitted or when I went into the pits, I had like 60%. And the second stint, the 60% warning, it came 2 laps before the end of the race. So they aren't great, but for me, they felt pretty good, personally. But I can cope with some weird tires. We all know that. And yeah, for me, I felt comfortable in the car.
Fair enough, yeah. I mean, it seemed like, all things considered, a pretty solid drive by you today. So, yeah, good job with that. And looking ahead towards next week, we're going to be in the streets of Jeddah. So, how do you feel about that?
So Jeddah normally is a better track for me, actually. I don't know why. It somehow is. Let's hope I can get some good points there. Also, sprint coming up.
Fair enough, yeah. There's plenty of opportunities there. So, yeah, I know. I remember you've gone pretty well there in seasons gone by. So, yeah, we'll see if we can maybe even see. What do you think you'd be able to potentially even fight for a podium there?
It highly depends who is there or
Yeah.
who isn't, to be honest.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we'll see how things go. But yeah, I'll let you go, and hopefully you can get well soon as well. And good job on today's race.
I think it will take a few more days.
All right. Fair enough. In that case, yeah. Good luck for next week. We'll see you then.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye. All right. Next one up in the order. Let's see. Do we have a result screenshot to make anything easier? My god, I can't speak. No, we do not. So yeah, I'll go from memory. Sixth place would be Loris. Who is there? That's nice. Let's get Loris in. He's screen sharing at the moment, but when I said ever stopped us before, let's recommend. Loris, hello. Loris, hello. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Hello, hello.
All right, hello. Welcome back into the commentary booth after another, well, I mean, sort of eventful race, but then sort of boring for the second stage of things. I think the the penalties were kind of what ended up coming to define your race, but still, plenty of events going on, and also with qualifying as well. So, yeah, I mean, it took us through your day.
Yeah, qualifying started pretty decent, but then I just kept invalidating every lap. Or like on the end of qualifying, I was like 1.7 seconds up, and then I validated in the last corner. Could have qualified P2, but yeah, I was stupid and invalidated that lap. And then yeah, the race. Lap 1 was great. After that, the pace was decent. I got to battle with Elias, which might have been a bit unnecessary, but I was like, I wasn't catching the front, and I have nothing to win or lose, so I might as well just defend to have fun. Which was basically the only fun part of the race, because after that it was literally just the pit stop and driving, make it to the end. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we were seeing today. We were seeing what happens, I suppose. Well, partly when we have quite a lot of drivers retiring, but also when there's no DRS and no DRS trains. This field ended up getting very spread out towards the end, unfortunately. But yeah, I think given the circumstances, you did reasonably good. Was the penalties? Do you think like setup related maybe, or was that just genuine
Lack
mistakes?
of practice.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think there's too much else to ask about. You did mention in league chat was there an altercation with Leland in qualifying?
Oh yeah, it was my brain got an error. I said I invalidated. What did I say? Invalidated because of Lelen, but I was meant to say I got out qualified by Lelen.
Oh, I see. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. I was going to say it seemed like you just was it you crashed at the final corner on one of your laps?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it was.
it was quite unfortunate.
Yeah, for old time's sake, you did the Dutch jump scare to somebody else.
Oh yeah, I could.
Yeah,
Could have happened because I was middle of the racing line, I
yeah. I
think.
was going to say we'll have to see if we get any onboards of that. But yeah, I think in any case, it was just a reasonably solid drive from you here today, and obviously only as a reserve, no stakes, like you say. So just enjoying the few battles that did occur. So looking ahead to next week, will you be able to race in Jeddah?
Maybe. No, I don't think I will actually. No,
Okay,
probably
okay,
not.
fair enough. I mean, would you know if you'd be able to race in Bahrain, or is that a bit too far ahead?
I think I should be able to race, yeah.
Okay, well, in that case, we'll hopefully look forward to seeing you there for the final race of the year. I mean, if you are able to race, do you think it's a good track for you?
Um, I mean, I won there in the beginning of season 6, so
Hmm.
and then it went well back on F121 in Light League, so we will see how it goes. I mean, uh, yeah, if you qualify within the top 4, you can try to stay within the DRS of the top runners and then see from there. But yeah, I don't know.
All right, well, we'll look forward to seeing you back in 2 weeks' time, and until then, unless you've got anything else to say, I'll let you go.
Uh, no, not really.
All right, fair enough. Well, yeah, we'll see you when we see you then.
All right,
Bye bye.
see you.
Okay, moving on next to next one would be 7th place, would be Blondie. He is obviously not in the interview room, and so we'll move next on to Perhaps. Let's get him in. Perhaps. Are you
Hello.
with us? Hello. Welcome in. So, honestly, I think out of all of the races in what was quite a boring race towards the end, I think yours probably takes the cake for most uneventful in the second stage of the race, in the second stint. So,
At like 14 laps to go, I was actually molding. I had nothing to do.
yeah, I was going to say, I
I
think,
was legitimately considering just retiring because I was so bored.
yeah, once you got past Blazer and Blazer retired from the race, I don't think we saw you again for pretty much the whole time until I realized how long it had been since we saw you, and just felt like giving you a mention out of pity. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, in any case, you managed to survive the boredom and bring it home for some reasonable points. So yeah, how was today's action for you?
The first like 12 laps was pretty fun. I got to hold up Phil a lot. It was great. Um, and that's pretty much it. And
Fair
for
enough.
the rest of the race, it was so bad. It was so bad.
Yeah,
It was.
I was
I did not have a great time.
I was saying to Loris just before as well, is that this is what happens when we can't have DRS trains. We just have
Yep.
nobody anywhere near each other, unfortunately.
I
But
had like a 14-second gap in front and like a 12-second gap
yeah,
behind. I was in no man's
yeah,
land.
literally, that
I
was
didn't even see the cars in front. I didn't see anyone behind me. It was actually like I was just alone.
having to watch the track map for entertainment. There's nothing
Yeah,
happening.
that's what I did. I genuinely was like, oh my god, there's stuff happening. No way.
Yeah, I think
I
this
went
race.
like a couple of corners wide because I just looked at the track.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I think this race could have definitely used a safety car. I mean, do you think you had the pace to do anything better in this race, or was this a reasonable performance? I suppose.
To be honest, I practiced for like 20 minutes.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And apparently it doesn't matter if I practice for 10 hours or 10 minutes. I get 7th or 8th.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it does seem to be that way. I mean, I remember I remember last season there was plenty of times where you would show up 5 minutes after qualifying started with no practice whatsoever, and you'd still generally do a decent job. So, yeah, I think there's nothing out of the ordinary for you. But yeah, a pretty boring race today. So we'll swiftly move on to thinking of next week's race. If Jeddah is this boring, I would eat my own shoe, to be honest. So how do you think that race is going to go? And sprint race as well.
At least there's walls.
Yes.
So
Plenty.
people are going to be hitting them. Hopefully.
And hopefully not you.
Hopefully not me.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I like Jeddah. Yeah, well, not much to say. I like sprints. Usually they go well for me for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it. I like the track. I hope I do well. Obviously, at this point I can't say, where I'll finish. I'll practice a bit more as well, so hopefully I'll at least qualify slightly better. Probably won't though. Probably gonna get P10 again and finish like 8th or 7th.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So,
we'll see what happens. Like I'm expecting it to be quite a bit more chaotic than this race. So there's always a chance that something could go your way, like it did in earlier races this year. So yeah.
well, hopefully.
We'll see how it goes. But yeah, until then, good job on surviving today's boring race, and good luck for next week.
Have a great day.
Thank you. All right. Moving on next to who would be next in the order? That was P8. So next would be P9, which would be Mr. Zuxon. Let's get him in. Mr. Zuxon, hello.
Yeah, hello.
All right. Well, I think you were one of the few drivers who actually managed to have a reasonably entertaining race for the majority of today's action. So, yeah, good battle with Leland all the way through, and then yeah, just bringing it home for points really in the end. So, how's today for you?
Yeah, it was actually a good fight with Leland. Could have been better in the qualifying, but yeah, I just lost my dog, and my brother told me how to chase it back. Get right in the field, I had to make it back. The day he lost, so I wish I could take it back. That was my qualifying. But for the race, yeah, there was a lot of places going up, so yeah, I just went for it, and turn one wasn't that bad, so yeah, just drove my way, and yeah, and had a good fight with Leland. He has annoyed me very much, but yeah, even though I knew he had a penalty, the thing is, if there was not a Leland, maybe I would have got some time into the 6 seconds of perhaps, maybe not, I don't know, but yeah, still P9 from P16. It's actually quite nice.
Yeah, I was going to say, in qualifying just didn't quite work out for you, but you recovered nicely. How's the tyre wear for you in today's race? Because we heard it was pretty awful for quite a few other drivers.
Yeah, it was pretty awful for other drivers, not for me. I guess in the end of the race, I had like 65-66%. I did not really see, and as I heard, Trimmer ended with 80%. Yeah, I guess my tire wear wasn't that much of a problem.
Fair enough. Yeah, it seemed to be quite different for everyone really. There was some drivers who were really struggling, some who weren't quite so much. Apparently Elias had like 87% or something like that, which is just unreal really. But yeah, I think either way, whatever you were doing with the tyres was working nicely, so good job with that. But yeah, I mean, not with how this race went, not really too much else to talk about from today, so can look ahead to next week's race in Jeddah. How's that track for you?
Well, Jeddah can be very, very, very tight. pretty much in the sprint. This will be a challenge. And yeah, let's see how it goes. With only a 35% race, I think we'll have like 18, 19 laps in the main race. Let's see how it goes out. I don't really know.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it's always going to be hard to predict with a track as potentially chaotic as that one. Who knows? We might even see a safety car. So, I mean,
Yeah, maybe.
Unlikely, but it's possible. Who can say? If there was ever a track for it to happen.
Jeddah has a high percentage of safety car, but I also
It's LRC.
I also thought about it in Singapore, which would have helped me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, we know how it can be. Sometimes it's annoyingly difficult to find a good balance of settings that doesn't produce constant safety cars and just actually finds a good balance. But yeah, either way, we'll see how it goes there. Plenty of room for stuff to happen, and I'll wish you the best of luck for that. So, anything else you want to talk about from today?
Not pretty much, except good fight with Leland. Yeah. Hoping for more.
I can relay a message from Lalan in the chat.
I heard that Leland has improved this season, and also Tim now getting used to his wheel. Out qualifying me, which as I just had as a combination of Top Gear and Grand Tour, it's very depressing when you're slower than James May. That's how I feel.
Fair enough, yeah.
But yeah. So I guess he is improving, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, and that's it then. Thank you for joining us, and good luck for next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Goodbye. All right, and we can move on to the man himself for what I think will be our second to last interview. Let's get Leland in, the other side of the battle. Leland, hello.
Hello.
All right, welcome back into the commentary box after.
Danke.
Like I was saying to Zoxon, a pretty interesting race for you compared to what everybody else had in the field. You guys had some great scraps, so yeah, how's the day for you?
Actually, shame that I end up being P10 because of the penalties, but I'm actually very happy. Like, it has been a long time since I actually had the fight against other people. Fortunately enough, I did survive the chaotic first lap of the race, which there were some people that were doing terroristic stuff, but yeah, I managed to survive. I didn't have like crazy pace, even because like I was kinda bad in some corners, but in others I was pretty good, and that like helped me to get past were like Team Trim and then Zoxon, and yeah, actually had a lot of fun. So props to Zox for the great fight, and yeah, I'm quite happy. I'm very happy.
Yeah, fair enough. Like I say, I think it was just a very solid race from you. Decent qualifying. Like you say, struggled a bit at the start trying to avoid the chaos, but then came back from it nicely. Kept it clean in the race and had a good battle to get into the points. So yeah, I mean, sums it up pretty well yourself there. So I mean, do you think there would be anything more that you could have done today, or anything you'd have done differently?
Apart from the penalties, I guess no. I actually gave it everything, and yeah, as I said, I'm happy because like I love racing with the wheel against other people, and if it is done cleanly with respect, giving space, but also giving it all, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling, and I really loved it. So yeah, I don't think I could have done anything more than not getting the penalties for track limits, but yeah, I couldn't done anything more. But I'm happy. I'm happy for it.
Yeah.
And hopefully I'm gonna have more of these sort of things. Like it should be every race thing, this sort of fighting between each other cleanly, and hopefully this trend is gonna continue. Not in Jeddah though. I don't know about Jeddah.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, I'll also ask before we do move on to that. How was your tyre wear today?
Okay. At the end of the stint, it was atrocious. Like I did I did go off track at the end of the stint because the tires were not there anymore. In fact, Zoxon, because of that, could have like undercut me. Yeah.
Hmm.
But apart from that, for all the race, tire were like the tires felt like solid. So yeah, I'm not complaining about it.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's I mean, I guess just a case of hitting a bit of a cliff. Then, like I say, it seemed like it was a different story for everyone on the grid with how the tires degraded. But yeah, either way, you managed it well. So yeah, looking ahead to next week, then is Jeddah a track that you like particularly?
Yeah, I do like Jeddah a lot because it's very challenging, but it's gonna be atrocious because yeah, I mean Jeddah speaks for itself, and our grid speaks for itself as well. So maybe I don't know if it's gonna be if the trend of no safety cars is gonna continue. It's gonna be a challenge in Jeddah, especially for the sprint race. About me, I always enjoyed Jeddah. As I said, I had so many good battles across the F1 games. Unfortunately, I did lose quite the pace. But yeah, it's gonna be a survive to drive again, and hopefully, I'm gonna get points.
All right, well said. So it's summed it up pretty nicely. Yeah, that's about everything from me then. Is there anything else you want to say?
Um, yeah, for all the fellow Italians that are listening, so myself, Tuca. That's what I have to say.
Okay.
Very solid, very solid words. Yeah, inspirational stuff. I know.
Very nice. All right, thank you for that, and yeah, good luck for next week.
Yeah, bye.
All right, and we can move on now to the last of our interview. Oh no, Trimmer Shave is also there. Okay, we've got two more interviews to do then. And see Trimmer, because he's streaming, so he's at the top. But unfortunately for him, we do not care if people are streaming or not. We're just going to get him straight in. Let's see if he's here. Trimmer Shave, hello.
Oh, hello. You want to see me drive in Iraq?
I'm alright. We can do that after the stream. You can post it in clips for stream if you'd like. That would
No,
be,
you're watching it right
okay.
now.
Okay.
That's your only chance.
Okay, I'll.
I am in a bit of a predicament.
What the hell? Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find a way of showing this on the stream. We've got a special edition here, guys. Hold on. Yeah, this is the rare Trimmer Shave in-car camera. This is how his race ended here today. So yeah, you know what? Well, let's do the interview from here, from inside the cockpit.
All right,
so,
yeah, that's a good view. For
see
interview.
the oncoming traffic. I think that must be Elias there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, today's race didn't seem to go the best for you. I mean, it didn't seem to go particularly great for a lot of drivers, with it being quite boring. But yeah, I mean, how was it for you specifically?
Well, lap one, I managed to hold off Elias as much as possible. That was about the only interesting thing that happened. I kept some pace with Zoc in front, but then Leland. I got side by side with Leland, and I would have made a corner if he wasn't beside me, but instead I got spun, and that was basically it.
Fair enough.
My tires died. I had like 80% rears in the second stint. I was fighting to keep Tim from catching up, because he was quick with the extra set of inters.
Yeah. I was going to ask about that. Yeah, it seemed like he just did a two-step, which seemed very strange at the time. But yeah, after hearing about how bad the tire wear was, it actually worked out pretty well for him.
He was getting like 2 seconds a lap.
Yeah,
he would have still been in front of me. It didn't really matter, but I guess he had fun with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, he did catch you, and from what I can remember seeing, I think he caught you and then actually hit you at the end before getting past. So was that? I mean, I didn't see him make the move since we had to spectate the race winner, but
I
yeah.
think he didn't hit me, but he just I kept him behind for like a full lap, but then he got me on the straight.
Okay.
I managed to stay in the 3 seconds to get in front with his penalty. I didn't get a single track limit warning.
Wow.
I was proud with that.
I
I
think
was really hoping for a safety car at the end. So I
that
can
would have been
benefit
incredible
from
for you,
that.
for sure. Unfortunate that we're racing in LRC and we don't have safety cars here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm yelling for some change there, but nobody's listening as usual. That's the LRC experience.
Yeah, we've had some we've had some discussions, but unfortunately, like it's hard to find a good balance of not having constant safety cars and also actually having safety cars. So
Well, I'm saying it again. You tried the different damage model at the wrong race. Why do you expect in Monza to work of all places? That's like the
I mean,
worst
look, man,
driving in
look,
the game.
I
Nobody
don't-
can drive well there.
I don't know if you've seen the rest of the schedule after Monza. There was nowhere that was better than that to try it out. We had Singapore, Mexico, Jeddah. It's like there was not much else that we could do on that front. If we were going to try it, that was kind of, we had to give it a go then. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's most likely going to be something that gets revisited for next season, more than likely. But yeah, until then, we'll see what happens. And I mean, next week in Jeddah, it's always possible. If there was going to be a place that brought out a safety car, then it probably would be there. So how do you think that race will go?
I'm not looking forward to that. Not at all. I still haven't done a full race in Jeddah, like in a league race in the 4 years it's been out.
Oh.
I've always managed to find some kind of excuse to miss it.
Interesting.
I'm not entirely sure if I'll do that again, if I'll be able to. Maybe. But whatever happens, I'll just suffer. That's not gonna change.
I'm pretty sure you did. I'm pretty sure you were there for a Formula Dunk race at Jeddah.
That didn't happen technically.
Oh, okay.
We don't,
to be fair,
we don't count that.
To be fair, yeah.
It wasn't a full race.
No, it wasn't. Fair enough.
That's my excuse.
Okay, well, yeah. In that case, I suppose going into unknown territory if you do show up for next week, and yeah, I'll wish you the best of luck if you do. So, yeah. So, anything else you want to say?
No, I'm going to Iraq. Go back to Iraq.
All right.
Let me show you Iraq.
Oh, hold on. Okay.
I'm in Egypt right now.
Oh, okay.
I think. No, or is that Israel? I don't know. No, it is Egypt. Okay, quick. I'm traveling quickly to Iraq.
Okay, this
Give
is
me 2 seconds. This is very important.
Mm-hmm.
This completely relates to the race. Okay. I'm gonna go here. All right, forget it. Goodbye, everyone.
All right.
Forever.
Okay. That's
you don't get to see Iraq.
That's
going
gonna
to
be it
see
from
Saddam Hussein.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll try again next week. Bye bye.
All right.
All right. That means we can move on to the now actually last of our interviews, and that is going to be from the form of. Well, hang on. It was going to be from one Tim Bleish, but I've just seen Elias has joined the call. Oh, okay. So we've got everyone here. That's great.
What the hell?
Okay.
Why are we here again?
What?
Hey,
Hello,
guys.
people.
About to explode.
Who did the funny?
Huh?
I'm going to Kazakhstan
Oh,
next.
okay.
What is going on?
Stream?
I have no idea what's going on.
What do you mean? So why are we here?
I didn't
Can we
bring
do
you here, so I don't know who.
Oh.
I think it was Loris
Okay,
or
fuck
something.
you.
I don't know.
Can we do clips for stream?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, okay. Guys, really special edition of the LSC post stream here today. Not post stream, post race. Yeah. Oh, hey, Sol. You back? Oh, hey, Leland.
Hello?
Hello.
So are we doing clips for stream?
I
With
mean,
the Saula special guest?
we were supposed to interview
Huh?
Tim, but Tim's just dead now. I don't know.
Oh.
Does Elias want an interview? I'm gonna have to ask him.
Oh, here's Tim.
Oh, here's Tim. Okay, that's
The
great.
fuck just happened?
I have no idea what's going on. I'm gonna be honest. You know what?
Did you move me here?
No, I haven't moved anyone. I have no
Oh.
clue what's going on. somebody's doing a little bit of trolling. Anyway, we'll take the opportunity whilst Tim's here to try and get the interview in. It's Sol and Llewellyn. You're welcome to join in if you'd like, or you can leave. I'm really not. I'm not bothered. I don't know what's
I have
going
a
on.
few questions.
Oh, okay. Go on.
No, you can
Yes.
start.
Oh, okay.
You-
I'll start. Okay. Well, we'll start off by asking you about. Well, I mean, we can start with qualifying, I suppose, because I think this was your best qualifying of the year in terms of not being on the back row. Would I be correct in that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's improving slowly but surely. It definitely seems like you're getting the hang of this game and with the wheel as well. So yeah, actually got to have a decent couple of fights in this race and ended up making the two-stop strategy work. You still found a way to do something unorthodox with the strategy and ended up fighting Trimashave at the end. So yeah, how was your race?
Well, to be honest, the two-stop wasn't planned.
That's it.
It was planned by TireWare. Yeah, I don't know, my tires died really fast, and so I did a two-stop, but
Fast.
still finished last.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you did at least. I think you did finish ahead on track of Trimashave, didn't you?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I got the stupidest 3-second penalty ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also wanted to. I did want to ask. Would I be correct in saying that when you made that second pit stop, were you held in the pits for no reason, or was that just on the stream?
No, I was actually on the toilet during the pit stop.
oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, Kimi Raikkonen.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, all things considered, then recovered well, and like I say, most important thing is making progress and getting to grips with the game and with the wheel as well. So, yeah, how do you feel looking ahead to next week's race in Jeddah? I mean, will you be racing there?
I mean, if there's space, sure. Will it go well? I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
see,
you might be able to cause us a safety car. Would be much appreciated. After
Nah,
the
that
drought.
that times are over.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
I'll hold you to that. I'll put that as a quote in the front page of Paddock News. Those times are over, and then we'll see what happens next week. Well, yeah, I mean,
Safety car first corner from me,
yeah.
for sure.
Sorry, guys, brake failure. All right, well, let's.
Yeah, it happens.
That's my questions done. Sol, what did you want to ask?
Oh yeah, I have a question about regarding your race today. How was it? How was it that you managed to completely dominate the field today and lap everyone 3 times? Also, Elias 4 times today because he's shit. How was
Yeah,
this?
that's true.
How did
that's
you
true.
accomplish this performance today? What was
Yeah,
your
I mean,
tricks?
I was actually teabagging when I overtook Elias during his pit
Ah.
stop because
You're
he
so
Really?
skilled.
washed.
You're so skilled that you can even teabag with the car.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's got
You see?
freaky suspension.
You guys doing this in no
That's
different
true.
Paul Ricard?
Yes.
See.
Anyway, that's all the questions I have.
Okay,
I don't
that's
have
good.
any.
No. Piru is fine.
Okay, well, I've got one question for you, Sol.
Yeah.
So, how is it like for you when you managed to lap the whole field 3 times and Elias 4 times because he's so shit?
Oh, I just did it because I felt like it. It's so easy.
Mm-hmm.
I went to make dinner in the middle of the race. Also,
Okay. I was expecting a bigger gap, to be honest.
could
That
could have
explains it.
could have been 5, but I wanted
Yeah.
to make food.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay,
Hungry.
well, I also heard that you got a head start on next week's race in Jeddah. Got a few laps underway there, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm
how's
on
that gonna
lap
go?
25 right now.
Ah, okay.
So
Out of 19.
soon.
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
On his
No,
way
I'm in
to lap.
I'm in Bahrain.
Nice.
No.
Okay, fair enough.
On his way to lap Elias for the 5th time because he's shit.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I'm glad we could clear all of that up. Tim, thank you for the interview. You have
No
anything
problem.
else to say?
No,
All right. In that case, we'll let you go. Good luck for next week.
thanks.
And
Goodbye.
yeah, for you guys, you sticking around for clips?
Sure.
See,
Okay, fair
why
enough.
not?
All right, let me get this going, and I'll put on a screen share as well, so we can watch at the same time. Okay, where are we starting from? Okay, I think we're
Yeah,
starting from
while
here.
you're loading the stream, I'm just gonna say that Battlecount 2 in theaters now, so check it out.
Yeah, it's got a 10 out of 10 rating on
Yeah.
IGN.
Yeah,
Wow.
most
Go
of
watch
people
it.
most of people said they just came to watch it. So
All right, let's have a look at this here. First clip is going to be from Pill Malone. Let's take a look. It's from
Let's watch
lap
this.
3 of the race.
Oh.
Falls off the track.
oh,
Did
Bit of an
he
issue.
get crashed behind, or did
Oh,
he just?
perhaps.
Oh,
perhaps that wasn't nice.
Oh.
Oh, and then he
and even
teleported in.
teleported. That's crazy. That's a
I
really
think
nice
that's
move.
what we call the boss and ton move.
Yeah.
What he did right there.
Yeah, but Phil's tire at the start of the clip kinda shattered.
Yeah. It was pretty impressive, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Next in line is going to be Mr. Zuxon. Presumably
RB
first of many.
momento.
Let's see. Oh, okay. I
Okay,
found it.
he's gaslighted already.
Hold on. There we go. Alright, let's take a look at that. Who's
Hello.
joined?
I'm
Ah.
sorry, but I
Oh,
have
hey.
to add for perhaps for what I've just seen.
He-
It collected exactly at that moment, by the way. So yeah, this was not a terrorist attack on Phil. That's all. That was my point.
Oh, okay, fair
Okay.
enough. Well, yeah, you can tell it to the judge. Oh wait, you're the judge. Okay, never
Yes.
Say,
Alright, well.
say it to me. Say it to me. I swear to God, say it to me.
mind. Alright. Yeah, I mean, you guys are welcome to stick around. We've just got a party going on looking at the clips here. You're welcome to if you'd like.
I'm not gonna annoy anyone with my voice that sounds like 500 cigarettes.
Oh my god.
Okay,
So
fair
I was about to cry.
500 cigarettes.
Wow.
Well.
Alright, let's look
Yep,
at this.
hi-
Let's
hi,
look at this
people.
clip from Zuxon here, guys. So,
Oh,
okay,
Oh,
Good
Yeah, I
job,
saw
Diane
that.
Break.
yeah. So, bit of an issue there for AJ. Yeah.
I think he wanted to do the opposite, like the come si chiama? Aero, aiutami tu che sei inglese.
No idea.
Okay,
Yeah.
well next.
Nice. Okay.
I think we all can relate what Leland just said.
Sì.
Yeah, I didn't actually show that one on the stream, but it was actually so bad that it doesn't matter anyway, so it's
Cheeky
fine.
fight in it.
Cheesy fight.
Alright. Let's have a look at this cheesy fight, guys. This one's also from Mr. Zuxon.
Oh, I shot here.
Oh,
Yeah, I remember.
okay.
Sharkmeister.
You forget where the track went, Lauren?
Yeah, my tires didn't feel too grip.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Happens to the best of us. The clip's still going.
Jackson is
Let's
very
see what happens.
amused that the overtake was biting his lips even.
He was
Got
freaking.
the wrist.
gonna work miracles.
Yeah, it was freaky.
Sucks on the wrist.
Why is he blurred out?
Boo.
Censored.
Oh, here he
Oh,
shot.
hold on.
So it sucks.
We're on the outside. Penultimate lap of the race. Absolute Sigma move from Lowland. I was.
This is off the track.
Good thing he backed out because that would have been bad.
Yeah, probably would have got a penalty.
Untangled probably with Lalen.
No, I don't think. I would've
Penalty?
done that. Wait, hold on. Where's Elias?
I know some guy.
You gotta get him in.
Penalty for Real Madrid.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Oh, good, it's from Phil again. Let's see this one. guys.
Did we see the Na clip after the cheeky fight? Because I
What?
think he
Okay,
had...
hold on.
What's plot going?
Wait.
Hold on,
What
hold on.
happened?
Alright, run it back. What's going on over here,
Protex this is
guys?
Lamo.
Oh, I think his controller just...
Cheeky
So that's what
track
happened to
extension
Nade,
by
then.
my pedal.
It's.
What?
I'm gonna guess his wheel failed or something along those lines. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe brain failure. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe
Okay. Next one. Oh my
So,
god, who's this guy?
against him.
just to remove the audio because...
Hmm?
I didn't remove the audio, so yeah, you can remove it because it's so noisy.
Oh, okay.
I see.
So noisy out here.
Alright.
Why
So this
is
is
it in
gonna
shit
be-
quality? Yeah,
I don't know, man. You made the video.
I
Nice
don't know
move on
YouTube.
Tim there. Still got more
What's
to
the
come.
green pixel?
The green pixel?
Oh,
Oh,
I've got
I-
quality. Oh, nice.
4K.
Oh, okay.
No way,
Nice
I
going
got
to
caught.
trying to cut in 4K now.
That's the track like a champion.
Oh, hello, Trimmer.
Hello, I'm here now.
Hi,
Hello.
Tim.
Hello, Baghdad.
I'm now in Kazakhstan.
Hello,
Казахстан угрожает бомбой.
Казахстан угрожает нам бомбардировкой. Казахстан угрожает нам бомбардировкой. Казахстан угрожает нам бомбардировкой.
Yeah, that's
I'm
much
going
trimmer
to
on the
bomb
stream.
someone here.
Alright, let's have a look.
No, I mean you can keep it on muted.
Opposite suit.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, it was fun the first time, but now fuck off on the fucking commentator.
Phil, I have a question for you about your
What?
race interview. What was the race like being racing with Blondie when he was missing 2 end plates? And why did it take so long to get past? Yeah,
Damn, that's crazy, bro.
no,
Who joined this then? Oh, okay.
me. I'm back
Okay,
now.
that's crazy.
Meh.
Okay, hold on, Lalan. I've got a question about your race. So where did you kill Tremor here? Why did you do that?
I didn't kill Trimmer.
I mean,
Yeah, you clearly did, man.
I'm pretty sure.
I didn't.
I mean,
I didn't.
he looks pretty dead to me, to be honest. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I can still
My
drive.
nine there. I didn't kill him at all.
Can
Maybe,
drive, so he's not dead.
Yeah.
You know what the rule says? It's the responsibility of the Italian to overtake cleanly. All right,
That was.
let's have a look at this one. So many, Jesus. Not enough pixels.
Oh, the
there.
overspeed.
Ooh.
He loves the move into this corner.
Look at that. Yeah,
Beautiful stuff. Okay.
man's goated.
Yeah, okay, so there's nothing else in the clip.
No.
Pretty tidy
I mean,
move.
that's better than certain drivers' DRS overtakes.
Yeah. Not gonna name any names. Is it the same one again?
No,
Yeah, it's the same
Oh,
one.
okay.
it
Nice.
was just that good, man.
Alright,
No,
No,
let's
no, it's the same one shown by Zoxon. Of
What?
before. Like
What?
the first clip, the cheeky fight.
Huh?
Yeah,
So,
whatever.
so
This
it's
guy
the
keeps speaking Italian.
yeah, no, man.
Alright.
No,
I'm
no,
having such a deja vu.
No,
I'm
no.
having to explain Leland.
no. Like, it wasn't the same clip that.
It's his POV. This is what
yeah,
I-
it's
what I
my
mean.
POV of the last overtake against
Right,
Zoxon.
right. Yeah, okay.
Okay, I give up.
It's to ignore it.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's yeah, it's fine. Honestly, let's take a look at this one from Elias. I think they're going to have some great code masters game moment.
28, 24,
What?
28.
What is this?
Absolute stigma
What is
of
this?
Absolute. Elias be like a cinema about.
What?
China.
Yeah, that's
This is beautiful.
I also love that the camera angles are so good in the in the off board when you're spectating. You can't go on board when somebody's in the pit lane. You're just stuck with one camera angle. So I couldn't see that Nardo was stopped ahead of him. He was just stopped. He just stopped in the middle of the track, and that was all I could see. I was like, oh, okay, he's stopped.
Yeah.
What's going on
What
here?
a game.
Yeah.
What a defense by EA F124.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Okay, last clip.
What?
Thank God.
What?
What now? Alright, let's take a look at this epic clip, guys. Nice steering
Oh,
wheel
you're not
ASMR.
dead. Watch
Oh,
out.
Jesus Christ.
Corner. Oh, no fuck.
Epic.
Attack.
Hold on, let's get a replay.
Oh,
Let's
you're
get
not
a replay of
dead.
this one.
Watch out. Last corner.
Hold on. Let's get a slow motion replay of this one.
Watch out. Corner.
Okay, that's pretty great. So that's going to be all of the clips for today. Oh, fuck's sake. Okay, so we've got one more clip, guys.
Two.
Let's take a look at this guy. Why's he got so many hacks on the screen? It's really weird.
knows what he's doing.
What the hell?
So, what are we watching?
I don't know, to be honest.
Someone that knows what he's doing.
Oh, wow. Stefania about to happen.
Sports line.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's 2 up. God damn it.
Is he even off the
God
track?
damn it.
Oh yeah, no, okay, I think he is.
Yeah.
He was pretty off the track.
God damn it.
Once again.
Damn it.
That was not that
That
big.
was not epic.
Not epic.
Yeah, okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's, I think that's gonna be all.
I think there's one more clip above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Watch it.
Alright, guys.
Okay.
So this one
Just
was,
be some of. Oh no.
this one was from earlier on in today's race, you might have missed it. Alright, so here's Llewellyn fighting for the lead.
Oh no!
Yeah, I remember when that happened to Elias, it's crazy.
That was in quali, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Quali.
Yeah, that's why we
Shout out
didn't
to
see it.
Karim Benzema for going past into P1.
Sig Benzema.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. That's it. We're done. We're done with it. Alright.
Yeah.
So let's take it and so honestly I think we should start a podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna
So
call
guys-
it
That's gonna go well.
the Freaky Podcast.
Wait,
I
I
think
have
we
a question
make-
for everyone then.
Okay.
See?
We should make an intro for it though first.
Epic Podcast.
That's what we
By
should
Joe
call it.
Rogan. Okay, okay,
let's
first
see
question.
experience.
What's your guys' opinion on the Israel-Palestine conflict?
Alright guys, that's gonna be the end of the stream for today.
The mid-off.
So I'll just
Optimal, I think.
The mid-offs, but Cooper's.
yes, okay, that's probably gonna be enough. I think that's gonna be around about where we'll leave it. Yeah, pretty great. What happened to the LSE podcast? Sorry guys, we had to cancel a series. It's a bit of a shame, to be honest. So, yeah, we're gonna move on, and also we're gonna move on by end of the stream. So, thank you for watching, whatever this mess was. Excuse me, voice is dead. A lot of talking. Can't wait to end. Never come back, to be honest. I mean, I'll probably be back in Bahrain. Let's be real. But you know, who can say for sure? Hopefully, I'll be driving next week, so I don't have to put up with these guys again. Just take them all out. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today's race. That was round 11, and we'll be back next week with round 12. Hopefully, someone will. I don't know who, but yeah, hopefully we can find somebody to do that. And yeah, should be a pretty entertaining race around Jeddah with the sprint format and everything. So pretty chaotic if I was gonna take a guess. But yeah, until then, you can catch us by joining the league, joining the Discord server, which is probably linked somewhere. I mean, maybe, I don't actually know. I didn't set up the Twitch, so if it's not, then blame Loris. And yeah. But yeah, in the meantime, we'll be back in a week's time, same time as today, for hopefully a much more entertaining race around the streets of Jeddah for the penultimate round of Season 7. So, until then, thank you for watching, good night, and of course, Free Palestine.